All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, all right, all right. I'm trying to get a little Jack Talcott Afterparty started here over at the Frank Monday channel. He only went for 30 minutes, guys, today. Yesterday, no show. Today, a 30-minute show. So I got to ask the question, something's up with Jack. What's going on with Jack Talcott, guys? Why is he cutting the show short? Why is he not hanging around? Why is he not providing his service to the community? That was a bit anticlimactic, man. I like to tune in for my daily Jack Talcott show, but 30 minutes just ain't gonna cut it, man. We've got an addiction, and the only thing that can fill it is more cowbell. So let's go ahead and we'll pop the question in the ideas room and see if any of y'all good-looking, sexy people out there in Happy Land know anything about it. What is up with Jack? Seems like a pretty straightforward question. I don't know, maybe he's feeling a little ennui, a little sadness over the fact that yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate because I don't know. So that's why I'm asking the community. I need you guys to tune in and tell me what's up. Even though it's none of my goddamn business, right? Ain't none of your motherfucking business. But that's okay. I have interest. Even though, like, you know, people, they say that the parasocial relationships of social media shouldn't be taken seriously. I do take it seriously. It's like every day, you know, I open up my laptop and my living room to Jack Talcott, and I let him come in and proselytize to me and talk a bunch of shit about God and this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, we all engage in the brainwashing to an extent. And it feels like family to some extent. But other folks, you know, they don't take it serious. I know there's a lot of internet tourists out there just kind of cruising around looking to troll and LARP and do stuff like that. But that's not why I came here. I came here for genuine conversations about spiritual development. I didn't come here to talk shit and debate the ideas, right? I came here to meet with like-minded people who know God, right? Not folks that believe in God, but folks that know God and are trying to find better ways to have a deeper and stronger relationship with the Lord and to bring about productive, valuable, long-lasting change here in our realm. Things that are useful, right? Society, for the most part, seems to function pretty good, in my opinion. I know there are a lot of problems out there, and the Americans, particularly, have kind of let go of their, you know, it seems like they've lost their dignity for their fellow man, and they've got them out there in the street, you know, living on the street, homeless folks, and folks that are disenfranchised. But that's not happening everywhere in the world, right? It just seems like the Western world is kind of handling things that way. I know that every region, every so-called imaginary nation is, you know, doing things a little differently. And they all have these kind of hierarchical power schemes where they put one dog on top. They got the top dog leading the charge. Whether or not that may be a puppet position, you know, that is what it is. But The U.S. is the only place where I've seen those really, really high levels of drug abuse in the streets and so many homeless people living in tents. And it's like it's one of the most powerful, richest, supposedly richest nations on earth, rich in resources and talent and all kinds of other things, technology. But then they're letting the weakest and poorest among them just suffer in the streets, suffer from drug abuse and addiction and starvation and hunger and being exposed to the elements. You know, they even take away their tents and stuff. And it seems like it would be so easy to organize programs of smaller individualized housing units to house the poor more effectively, without trying to extort them or control them. And just you could employ people, you know, doing social work and giving cleanup and you know, showers and food and medical attention to folks, and it wouldn't be hard to do. And it's like, why not put more resources towards that rather than so many resources towards militarization and dominance of, you know, full spectrum dominance is what they call it. Is that really what we need? We need full spectrum dominance rather than some form of democratic socialism, right? Isn't that the key word that these folks are touting? And why? That's, I'm just asking the question and trying to put it out there and figure out, you know, I need some feedback from you guys, right? I don't have all the fucking answers, obviously. I'm just one young man. I used to be a young man, getting a little older now. But I have an interest in the welfare of my fellow man, right? It's a Freemasonic vow in the very first stages of initiation that they're asked. I believe it's at the first initiation for Freemasonry. I haven't personally gone through it myself, but I've studied it because they have things of interest within the confines of that teaching. And they ask the aspirant, how do you know that you suffer, right? Even if you're not in suffering, how do you know that you suffer? And the answer, the canned response that you're supposed to give, right? The key to initiation, the secret to get through the portal is, if there is one man on earth suffering, then I too suffer. So somehow they seem to be working towards the alleviation of suffering. And how is that bad, right? If that's the basic premise of what you're endeavoring to do to alleviate the suffering of humanity, then how could that be deemed as bad? That's a foundational understanding. Another foundational understanding we get into within the studies of the Hermetic sciences is that love is in fact the law, which seems a little sus to me that some people are always saying that, right? But then at the same time, they don't reveal themselves to be initiates or in the practice of, for example, that particular branch comes from Thelema, right? And he wasn't the first person to say it. He was actually echoing a magician before him, which was Pascal Beverly Randolph, the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. He's the first one that promoted the idea that love is the law. Of course, these days in the popular modern culture, it gets attributed to Aleister Crowley, but it wasn't Aleister Crowley's original idea. In fact, ideas have been around so long that some may argue no one can really truly have an original idea, right? We're all just kind of echoing things from the past. So many things have been brought to light and then lost and forgotten that we just rediscover things. As King Solomon said, the Wizard King Solomon of the temple, he was of the first temple, right? He built the first temple. He said that there's nothing new under the sun. And he was using Antiquitech at the time, right? He had a dark mirror with the Baghdad battery. and he was using spiritual forces to even construct the temple itself. Yeah. Now, some people might look at this through a more modern, scientific, materialistic view of, well, maybe those were analogies, right? He was using metaphor for the employment of people. Maybe he was even looking down on those people and just calling them demonic forces, right? But the ancient claim is that he used the power of spirit to build those things. So yeah, I gotta ask the question, guys, what's up with Jack, right? If some of you are here because Jack went short, right? He only went 30 minutes on the show today, and I was curious as to why that may be. Then I've already opened up the panel. If anybody wants to get into it, dig into it, and find out a little bit more, then just drop me a line. But it looks like we're not getting much. We're not getting much feedback on this idea. So let's see here. We could open the show. We're 10 minutes in already, and I haven't said my prayer yet. So let me do that. If you're new here and it's your first time, please don't let it be your last time. Sub the channel, like and subscribe. Do all that happy horse shit that makes YouTube's algorithms bark like Pavlov's dog. All right? Why do we do it? Why do we even get involved? Because no new horror can ever exceed, can be more terrible, says the ancient prophet, than the daily torture of the commonplace. So let's break through the commonplace with the adoration of Abraxas. Let me pull it up here, pull up the title as I say my prayer. And if you know it, join me in prayer. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, master of both the light and the darkness, he who was, is, and shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Send us one of your divine spiritual agents, our holy guardian angel, to protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere, and a cleansing wind to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion. Teach us those secret things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name, Adonai. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Amen. Ra. Hail unto thee who art Ra in thy rising, even unto thee who art Ra in thy strength, who travellest over the heavens at the uprising of the sun. Tahuti, god of magic, standeth in the prow in his splendor, and Ra-Hor abideth at the helm. Hail unto thee from the abodes of the Stygian twilight sea. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power, silence is strength, will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. For love is the law, love under will, and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Yeah, there it is there. That's good magic, man. I can appreciate it. There are my prayers, my salutations, my obsequies. Yeah, and we'll let Israel Regardi lead us through the invocation of Tahuti, and then maybe we'll switch the topic over to magic and daily living, right? The wisdom of the ancients. I originally opened this stream as a Jack Talcott after party, but I don't see that anybody from the old Jack Talcott show has shown up, so I guess folks are not interested in chit-chatting about him today or giving me any of the down low on what's happening with Jack these days. I know that things are brewing behind the scenes. I can't participate in it as much as I would like to because I'm a work-a-day man, right? I got a job, a jobber job that I work at 60 hours a week on average, and then I've got a family, a couple of chillins that I got to take care of, And then I have my own daily magical practice and kung fu training that I have to engage with. So that limits my online time to just a couple of hours a week. Typically on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings here in Twilight Zone Old Peking, far behind the bamboo firewall, broadcasting from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon in China. China. Yeah, I'll typically tune in twice a week, right? Tuesday, Thursday evenings for me, which would be like Monday, Wednesday nights for all of you guys out there in the Americas, right? So yeah, that's the size of the thing. Israel regarding with the invocation of Thoth. No further ado.
Invocation of Thoth. Procul, O procul esti profani, lasti ompeda. In the name of the mighty and terrible one, I proclaim that I have banished the shells unto their habitations. I invoke Tahuti, the Lord of wisdom and of utterance, the God that cometh forth from the veil. O thou majesty of the Godhead, wisdom-crowned Tahuti, Lord of the gates of the universe, thee I invoke. O thou of the ivy's head, thee I invoke. Thou who wieldest the wand of double power, thee I invoke. Thou who bearest in thy left hand the rose and cross of light and life, thee I invoke. Thou whose head is as an emerald, and thy nemes as the night sky blue, thee I invoke. Thou whose skin is of flaming orange as though it burned in a furnace, thee I invoke. Behold, I am yesterday, today, and the brother of tomorrow. I am born again and again. Mine is the unseen force whereof the gods are sprung, which is as life unto the dwellers in the watchtowers of the universe. I am the charioteer of the east, lord of the past and of the future. I see by mine own inward light, Lord of resurrection, who cometh forth from the dust, and my birth is from the house of death. O ye two divine hawks upon your pinnacles, who keep watch over the universe, ye who accompany the bier to the house of rest, who pilot the ship of wrong, ever advancing onwards the heights of heaven, Lord of the shrine which standeth in the center of the earth. Behold, he is in me, and I in him. Mine is the radiance, wherein Ptah floateth over the firmament. I travel upon high. I tread upon the firmament of new. I raise up flashing flame with the lightning of mine eye, ever rushing on in the splendor of the daily glorified Ra, giving my life to the dwellers of earth. If I say, come up upon the mountain, the celestial waters shall flow at my word. For I am Ra incarnate, Heph-Ra, created in the flesh. I am the eidolon of my father Tamu, Lord of the city of the sun. The God who commands is in my mouth. The God of wisdom is in my heart. My tongue is the sanctuary of truth, and a God sitteth upon my lips. My word is accomplished every day, and the desire of my heart realizes itself as that of Sitar when he created his works. I am eternal, therefore all things are as my designs, therefore do all things obey my word. Therefore do thou come forth unto me from thine abode in the silence, unutterable wisdom, or light, or power. So, Hermes, Mercury, Odin, by whatever name I call thee, thou art still nameless to eternity. Come thou forth, I say, and aid and guard me in this work of art. Thou, star of the east, that didst conduct the Magi, thou art the same all present in heaven and in hell. Thou that vibratest between the light and the darkness, rising, descending, changing ever, yet ever the same. The sun is thy father, thy mother the moon. The wind hath borne thee in its bosom, and earth hath ever nourished the changeless Godhead of thy youth. Come thou forth, I say, come thou forth, and make all spirits subject unto me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether, upon the earth and under the earth, on dry land and in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God the vast one may be obedient unto me.
So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Amen. All right, good magic, man. We got some wonderful things going on today. We opened up the Jack Talcott Afterparty, and the man himself has shown up to say hello. I will bring him up in just a second, provided that he is ready and willing. It looks like he's active back here backstage. So let me, good magic. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. It looks like, we're gonna get some of those answers we've been seeking, folks. So I hope if anyone followed us over here from the old Jack Talcott show. Excuse me, pardon me. Alarm's going off. It is early morning here in Old Peking, so I've got to organize things a little bit differently than I usually do. Let's see here. Yeah, blessings. Mr. Talcott, are you out there?
Hey, blessings to you, brother.
Yeah. How are you doing, sir?
I'm feeling blessed, truly. I kind of touched on why I did a short stream, but
oh, did you? Okay.
Yesterday, man, I had something like I don't know what it was, but something within me needed to come out. Dry heaving and vomiting bile all day. It was nasty.
Oh, wow.
So, not to be gross, but yeah, I slept for I rested about 14, 15 hours last night. So today I'm still carrying that recovery energy. I'm not quite fully back yet.
Okay.
But feeling good.
Okay, good. Blessings then. I was suspicious, the mind goes wild like when something is thrown out of pattern, out of whack. Folks tend to build consistent patterns throughout their lives, and then they come to rely on them. And then when the rug's kind of ripped out from underneath you, I'm not saying that you have any responsibility to your audience or to this platform or anything like that, but I've been a long time listener now for, I guess, going on a year, a little over a year probably. and it's kind of become part of my daily ritual. I tune in for the Jack Talcott show.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're an old stalwart, man. It seems like you pretty much broadcast nearly every day. And so, I'm sure that I'm not alone, that there's a lot of people that have come to rely on you for the spiritual pep talk. For me, it's first thing in the morning. I think for most other people, yeah. For most other people, I think they're catching you in the evening. You usually broadcast like 5, 6 p.m. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. East Coast time. I've been doing about 5 or 6 p.m.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your bout of autumn time going into winter, right? With all the seasonal changes. I think that might have something to do with it. Who knows? But I mean, did you eat something bad, or what do you think might have happened?
Full moon energies, the solar flares, who knows what it is, man. It could have been something I ate. I don't know. But I don't know if they were, I guess I had dreams or hallucinations. And they were powerful. I wish I could remember what I learned.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. Like, here's definitely a place to talk about that. And for anybody who's tuning in now or later, you can see that I've put on the screen Jack Talcott's channel name. So, if you guys are interested at all, definitely go over and check him out. To give a blurb, I don't know, what would be the 60-second elevator pitch for Jack Talcott? He's a good guy. He's pursuing a mission that he has in life of bringing about a productive change to the world in the form of having a deeper relationship with Christ. And his idea is to live without fear. And that if we turn to God and learn to rely more upon him and his living word rather than the doctrine and the dogma, then we can bring about some of that good change here on earth. Is that a fair assessment, Jack, would you say?
Well said, brother. Thank you. Yes. Much of that.
Yeah.
I'm in the process. I hired a team with GoDaddy to redesign my website. So I'm excited to see how that comes out. The livewithoutfear.com is getting a redesign.
Okay, so it would just be like www.livewithoutfear.com?
Yes, sir. If you look at it now, what we see is what Landry offered me. Before that, it was different.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if I'll need a VPN to view it or not from China. Hold on, I'll try to pull it up and tell us a little bit about it as I try to dig it up here on the platform.
Well, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, to be honest, because I've had difficulty explaining, I guess, what's within me. But I'm excited to see what some creative folks can come up with based on what I shared with them. The idea, though, is what you described. Live without fear. It really is the message of Jesus. It's repeated in the Bible in so many ways, and the psychology of it makes sense. We're not created to be afraid and filled with anxiety or guilt or regret. Well, we are, but we don't have to be.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing that you came over here to chat with me today. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you at greater length again, Jack. Like I said, I tuned in this morning. I'm actually off today. It's Saturday. So I was hoping for a long show, and I was planning on maybe calling in at some point a little bit later. I had just gotten up and got my coffee, said my prayers, and was tuning in. I think I tuned in about 15 minutes late, so I believe I missed the first part of your dialogue, and I probably would have been able to detect that you weren't feeling up to par if I would have paid more careful attention.
No worries, man. We don't know what we don't know. And hey, Frank, you said something about it is easy for us to get comfortable with routine, to get attached to routine and stuff. But I've been learning truly, freedom comes from detachment, learning how to flow and just let things go. I don't know if you heard me share these words I found yesterday. Let me rest in the Father's hands, and I'll leave the rest to the hands of the Father. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good message. I like that. Yeah, it can be tough. You're right. Like I was saying, we get caught up in these daily routines, and then when there's a little bit of a change, we find that it's sometimes hard to adapt, or to make changes. Yeah. So if folks don't know, this is I think you can see, if it's on screen, you can see today's show.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah, heaven or hell, love or fear, the time to choose is now. And it was Friday Chats with Jack after a day away. And I was pointing out too, I think in the chat here, that I had missed your show yesterday, and then the show being cut short today, I was all aflutter with curiosity. I'm like, what's going on? What's up with Jack? And I just noticed now that you said you might head over and say hello. So that's good stuff. So for those of you out there who do tune into my channel and watch, it's Jack Talcott. You can see here. And you can see that this was today's message. And then I was also going to bring up, if it loaded, let me see if it loaded, your website, if it's okay.
Yeah, please. That's the current version right now. Live without fear.
Okay. And like you said, so Landry worked on some of the art, I believe, like he generated some of the art.
Yeah. I believe Landry generated the art, brought in the lion theme, and yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about it. We can go here. It says, there's so much we want to share with you about achieving happiness and moving toward the changing world. We hope you will take a moment to contact us about scheduling the first free consultation. Okay, so you offer free consultations.
Yes, but I really don't have anything set up. Not yet.
Yeah, that's okay. If I click on this button, will that give me an email link?
Please do. I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, yeah,
there
so I can schedule a consultation, my name, my email, and phone number. Okay. That one's always a tough one for me because I live in China and most systems don't accept Chinese phone numbers.
Oh yeah, something I should be aware of. International.
Yeah, so
when it's accommodations.
Yeah, right. When it's mandatory, I'll usually put in my old local U.S. phone number, which sure. I can't be contacted by anymore.
Sure. Anyway.
Good. Yeah, so that's a functioning aspect of the website, right? I can do that and you'll get a message from this?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm confident I do. I haven't received a lot of messages or feedback from any of my efforts, to be honest.
I'll try that later.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I'll type one in there and I'll see if it notifies you. That way you're up to speed too on whether or not it's a functioning aspect. Yeah, so we've got our philosophy of the duality of life, choosing love versus fear, and maybe add to this choosing abundance versus scarcity, right?
Beautiful.
Because that seems to be one of the overarching deceptions that the way of man in the world is trying to fix us with. We've got this scarcity mindset. They're trying to control everything, putting people in a state of fear, and then trying to guide them with the kind of here kitty approach, right?
Well said. Yeah, the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. There's a big difference between those. And I found this too earlier, Frank. I believe our selfishness and our fears, those two go together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Our selfishness and our fears. Yeah, because fear would lead us to being more, self-concerned, and then trying
Yep.
to hold things back for yourself. And again, it's that like fear of scarcity too, right? Like
Yeah.
I've only got one pizza with 8 pieces or whatever. And if I give you one, then I'm going to have less for myself. But then if you let go of that and realize that there's always going to be more pizza and more to go around, and give it to who needs it, then I think we could have a better world. Yeah.
It's waiting for us. Frank, I've been looking into more presentations on the money system, and it's a criminal enterprise, dude. This international banking scheme, it's a criminal enterprise. The money system prevents us from focusing on mutual exchange, mutual aid. That truly is the vision for the future. And we can make it happen so easily.
Yeah, it seems like it. Like, I don't know, since I was a young man, like I've noticed the suffering in the world, and I've been like all of my signs, all of my stars, my astrology, whatever, all of that adds up to supposedly a tendency to be more psychic and more empathetic. And so like I would see any kind of suffering in the world. I remember this from a very young age, and I would grieve and feel real pain. So if I saw someone getting injured, or if I saw like even a cat or something in a poor condition, like it would sicken me psychically.
Yeah.
Like it would make me very, very sad and curious. And so I would look at the world and think, why? Like things that were presented via maybe television, or even things I saw in real life. I would think, why does it have to be this way when there seemed to me to be easy solutions? Like I came from a family of abundance. And so like if I saw someone homeless or suffering, I think, why can't we take them in and like provide shelter or provide food? Because we have all of those things. And so it really baffled me. As a result, it made me like kind of stick my head in the sand and try to turn my mind away from the suffering, because it bothered me a lot. You know what I mean?
You couldn't answer it. Yeah. I get it. Totally get it, my friend. Totally.
Yeah, as a little kid, you don't have any answers, and you can't find any answers, but it still seems like a paradox, like a really tough thing to try to figure out.
Hey.
Anyway, it led me to the pursuit of wanting to study Chinese medicine, and I actually spent my first year of college going to a Pacific College, which is there in California, and learning Chinese medicine. I ultimately turned away from that path because, again, like my empathy, I just didn't really, I couldn't handle really being around sick people that much. I tried to take on too much of the burden personally. And my shifu told me, he said you'll exhaust your chi. You won't live long if you do that.
Good. Someone looking out for you. Good.
Yeah. So doctors have to be somewhat indifferent. Like,
yes.
I don't, it's weird.
Each of us are made for a different path, and you've got that empathy and compassion. Good on you, brother. Good on you. But I get what you're saying. I'm a sensitive guy too. Really feel things, the pain of others. I was thinking about that earlier today. That is what we're here to do. We're here to feel the experience of ourselves, feel the experience of others, because that's how we really learn and know what is true. And Frank, I'm telling you, man, I'm sorry, you said something else. I don't want to take us off from where you were.
No, that's fine. Flow with it, man. That's I wanted more Jack Talcott. That's why I set up the after party. 30 minutes, I was like, damn, that's just a teaser. I want to see if I can get some. I at least wanted some folks to come over and maybe tell me what was going on if they knew some behind the scenes information.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate this. I mean, I got the camera off. I'm laying on my bed.
Yeah, good man. You deserve to take a day off from time to time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is comfortable, and I appreciate it, Frank.
Mm.
What I'm coming to realize, we are here to change this world. The future, the future is in our hands, but we got to believe that we can. What you said, Frank? Oh, that was, if I can, part of my story. I realized growing up, I see the suffering of others. I didn't understand it. I learned of Dr. King. Well, why didn't they finish what he started? Why are we still having this black and white stuff? I didn't get it. I was a confused kid. And I literally drove myself nuts carrying around the problems of the world because I couldn't figure it out. But then I learned how to surrender. Once I started learning how to surrender, well, then I got a few more lessons along the way, but the answers started showing up. And the answers to the world problem, Frank, it's so simple, it's so obvious. It's love. We got to overcome the fear and the selfishness. The greed and the selfishness create fears. And that's why the Buddhas and the Christ, they were example of selfless beings. They live to serve. And that's what we're all here to do, man. But the world taught us we had to learn or had to earn.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's a good message. And I think that is a big part of the answer. And one of the things I think that prevents people from experiencing the love and letting it flow like directly through them are these like this the skepticism of the mind and the judgmental part of it, right? Like I was thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking of being with my family as a young man as well, and like driving the on ramp, and there would be an old veteran. This happened quite a few times, that would stand at the on ramp and a sign that says, we'll work for food or something like that. And my mom was always, very generous and would want to give like a 10 or a 20 or something, which was big money back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I would remember my dad would get pissed about that sometimes. And give the fucking bum any money, and it's that judgmental aspect of the mind that would prevent the expression of like genuine kindness.
Frank, that's it. It's our doubts. We can give faith in our doubts or give faith in our decisions. I just said this yesterday to a friend. They made a big choice for themselves. Every decision will bring doubts, right? But there's something guiding us, Frank. This is what I'm learning to trust. There's something greater than us that's guiding us to greater. It's the order of this realm, this universe that we are, this experience that we are. Because that's all we are, is just an experience, moment by moment, but it's always now. And now is the beginning of the future.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is like figuring it out at the mental level. We have all these different levels that we deal with in life,
Sorry. Yes,
No,
Frank.
Go ahead, respond.
Many levels. There's many levels to our mind and to our knowing. I've been exploring that within myself. I don't know if I have a good example, but thinking I know something and then years later realizing I did not know what I thought I knew, but I was on the right track, right? Just knowing things at a deeper level. My perfect example is this surrender and inner peace. I've been growing those things like exponentially.
Yeah, it's good. We have to, right? Because there, like you were saying, there does seem to be an ascension, an aspiring towards love and beauty and truth and bringing those things forward. But then there seems to be like this real intangible so-called team evil, right? With its various leaders and minions. And they're definitely working to undermine the I don't know, the revelation or even the good work. It's like you could work all day long, right? And then as soon as you go to sleep, there's dudes out there picking at it, and throwing shade and stuff. And it's like, is that somehow a part of it? Like this continual battle between dark and light? And, a part of your message is to end all war. And how can we move gradually and incrementally towards getting them to lay down their weapons of destruction?
We show them a better way. That's the key. We get their attention and we show them a better way. I think that's the way to deal with any individual addict, anyone who's got these unhealthy patterns. You get their attention, you show them a better way. Collectively, what I see happening, Frank, truly, all of the signs are clear. I hear it in so many. There's so many different perspectives and dynamics to this shift that's happening in the world at this time. Energetically, technology, information, surveillance. I mean, everything is changing, and it's changing so rapidly that it's kind of the unraveling, because the forces that be, those ones that have been in possession and control, manipulating the currencies, manipulating the news and the propaganda, they've become emboldened because they've gotten away with it for so long. So they're taking some big steps, right? These technology boys and all of this, they're moving forward into this surveillance state.
Yeah, I don't know how successful that's going to be, honestly, because I live like at the heart of like the showroom for a technocratic state here in
Yeah.
China, and it's cast a gloom over the minds of the people that's created like a kind of like an ennui or a giving up, and like a sense of being mired in mediocrity. Like it's created more fear, really, but a fear that's taken on a level that's like almost like hidden, like a hidden kind of fear, because you're constantly being watched. And so people adapt to that. They obviously they're going to follow their P's and Q's while in the public realm. And then they're worked to the extent that they really, at the end of the day, all they can do is go to sleep,
Right.
And so constant scrutiny and observation, it doesn't seem to be like it's a very healthful way to live. But the Chinese seem like they feel like that's the only answer to watching over everyone, So if they're rolling, go ahead.
I'd assume it's what they've learned. It's what they've been taught. It's what they know. I mean, there's many in America that believe, force is right. It's the same thing. The propaganda has been used through mankind. The history of our world, there is so much for people to learn. I had no clue, and I keep learning new things all the time. New stories of corruption in the government, the studies they've done on people, the psychological warfare on the masses. And it makes sense, because the government is the externalization of our ego. It's the beast that's there for the illusion of control. but it has no control. The spirit of the people is what is supposed to be in control. And this is what I've been what I'm fired up about is we have the right and responsibility as people of this land. I served the military. I raised my hand. I was a federal employee for most of my life. I'm one of them. So we have the responsibility to get control over any government that's not doing its job for us right. And with the government shut down, the gambling of the SNAP benefits, the National Guard and the military being deployed within the U.S., it's got to end.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Some salient thoughts I've had on that topic while living here in the Kingdom of the Dragon is that, like, and as technology emerged and we have these, these smartphone devices now, I thought, why can't it be put into our hands, right? We are the people. As an American, I think this way, right? And what do you think about the idea of some form of like direct democracy? And like in my mind, I've seen the policies being brought forward for scrutiny by the young, right? And maybe bringing these things into the high school level. I'm not saying that high school kids before the age of 18 or whatever should make the decisions, but I thought, like, they're learning so many things that really truly do not matter. Why shouldn't we be teaching them more proactively about the policies that are being enacted to control their futures and let them have input? We could do this through direct democracy. Everyone has a platform. I mean, everyone has a device. Everyone can get daily downloads and read the policies that are already on the books and then decide whether or not we should even keep those and how we should write new ones. What do you think about that kind of idea?
I absolutely love it. We could use the newer technologies to totally transform how we do things. And I'd considered ideas that might be in line with that direct democracy. When the legislation comes up, when the representative wants to pass something, technology, I mean, an alert is set out to those who would be affected. They get to chime in. I mean, I don't know. There's so many ways we could transform.
Yeah, doesn't that somehow make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's within your community or at any given level, it's like they're acting like it can't be done, right? They're like, everybody needs to show up with voter ID, and it's like, no, we don't. There seems it would be an easy thing to do this.
So regarding the way things are over there, I'd assume there are conveniences that from the technology and the surveillance. It can't all be detriment. I mean, I get the idea of Big Brother looking over your shoulder. Everyone's kind of policing themselves and each other. But are there conveniences as well that come through it?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, if it wasn't, what's the word? Like, if it wasn't good for me to be here, then I wouldn't be here. Obviously, I would have left a long time ago. But it's changed a lot since I first got here, right? Like they've rolled it out over the couple of decades that I've been living here. Like, it started out, there were just a few cameras here and there, and then I think within the first decade or something, like by the teens, the early 20 teens, they announced on national television that they would have 100% coverage of all public spaces in Beijing by like 2015 or something. And that was like high definition video and audio everywhere, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so they've achieved that. They achieved that pretty early on. They've now integrated it with like openly telling you that all of your social media and all of your devices are constantly being monitored, their cameras and their audio. So like they even promote it through like, television and stuff, like in the TV shows, like your phone's listening to you, it's watching you, you should be aware of that. in your private communications, like on their platforms, they'll also give you warnings if you talk about something subversive. So like if I'm texting you, say over Facebook Messenger or something, they'll send you a warning. They'll say, hey, that type of language is not necessarily appropriate. You should probably, steer away from it, or someone might be knocking on your door soon.
Wow.
Yeah, and sometimes it's passive aggressive, and sometimes it's directly aggressive. It just depends. And I guess if I'm being a guest here, I think I'm treated a little bit differently, and I'm probably kept on like a different set of books than the average individual. But I can only imagine the type of chagrin that the locals feel, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of weird. So the conveniences, what does it provide as a good thing? Well, everyone has an electronic payment account, and as long as you're participating in society, which I don't know if anybody has even the option to opt out. I think you have to be productively employed to some capacity, or you kind of get relocated out of the urban centers, and then maybe put in one of the farming camps or something, or manufacturing camps. But I'm a productive member of society. I've always worked in academia, so I'm basically at the school 50 hours a week, and then in my free time, I just come back to my dorm and cook and clean for my family and stuff. So it's a decent life for me. But I do, as being an American, like if I was raised in this society, I think that it would be probably easier for me to accept it, because they're raised with the idea that the governing bodies are the absolute authority. Right. And whereas like me, I maybe defer my absolute authority to God only, and so it makes it a little more challenging, at least psychologically.
Sounds like Big Brother, man, for sure.
Yeah, I like to call it Big Brother supercharged.
Well, I've been seeing things on Palantir and Peter Thiel and some of these techno bros, man, and the direction of the US is going that way. It could be that China's using a lot of the methods of the Americas in the economic way. They entered capitalism with the communist support, so it's the state in charge of the corporations instead of the corporations in charge of the state. So they're using the same tactics of providing loans and resources that the the U.S. and the other bankers did. But and I think they've used a lot of the strategies developed from the CIA. I think these states learn from each other, right?
Well, yeah,
so what's going on in China is going to be used here if we don't stop it.
And we know that it was basically set up by those guys during the revolution, that he was a sworn brother of the School of the Orient. So he was an initiated Freemason, the original head of the one that started here, the government. And then Planned Parenthood, like the one-child policy, all that was a direct dictum from the U.S. government to China. And China's basically followed in line with, the secret plan since day one. So yeah, it's absolutely, like I said, it's kind of the showroom or the testing ground for all of these technologies before they roll them out in the West. So I'm kind of at the cutting edge of what society's going to look like globally, right? So coming to a neighborhood near you soon, right?
Dude, I would love to come and visit China, because I've seen photos, some of the things they've created. Truly engineering miracles are being made, and the technology, we are living at such an incredible time. If the people can get control of the state and the states take control of the money system, I really believe we can move beyond, we can create a world beyond money. It's waiting for us to know.
Yeah, and somehow, I don't know, it just seems like just a simple shift in the way people perceive it that I think we would be like, it would be achievable, right? Like you talk
Mhm.
about the money aspect, and over here again, since everything has been digitized, there isn't really any more paper currency in circulation. Like I would
Right.
say, yeah, paper currency in China right now probably accounts for 5% of transactions.
It's all numbers on a computer. That's all money is. It's data keeping, record keeping. That's all it is. It doesn't mean
Absolutely.
anything.
So we're like the distance between now and like the suffering in the world, the UBI or whatever, like a universal basic income, is basically like one click of a mouse away from happening.
It
There's
is.
plenty of electricity, there's plenty of devices, like even homeless and poor people or whatever. There could be systems where they sign up really easily. Like them taking away the SNAP benefits is
Mm.
one overt move in trying to reinstill fear in a third of the in a third of the U.S. population, at least, right? It's
Mhm.
basically like them saying to them, hey, pay attention because we could basically starve you to death, no problem, right?
Yes, and the thought that just came up, these are karmic tests. These people that have been dependent upon the government, it's time for them to find something new. Um, we're going through this shift in mankind, man. If we learn the lessons from the past, we'll end the wars, we'll reform the monetary system, and we'll overcome we can overcome the politics, economics, and religion. We can overcome all of those things.
Yeah, and going back like to your thought about possibly visiting China in the future sometime,
Yeah,
um, it would be something like, I think that would be very easy for you to do because you're not a guy that comes with a lot of problems to begin with, right? Like
right.
you've yeah, you've managed your life down to a very manageable level. You don't have a lot of demands and stuff, and like going through the basic systems of like checking in and stuff, it's all very easy. I mean, they've modernized it. We have you've seen the news reports, we have one of the best international airports on the planet right now. It's we have the best what is the word, public infrastructure for travel, like subways and busing systems. It's all super clean now. Like most of the buses are either hydrogen or electric, and so they've really cleaned up the environment quite a bit. Like here in Beijing, for example, they've moved all the industry out of the city. And a lot of it they've just turned off because we're not using it anymore. Like during COVID, because of the lockdowns, many of the world's restaurants just went out of business, and like one of the big industries that we had here locally was ceramic productions for restaurants, like plates and
Hmm.
bowls and stuff. And it's all shifted to more like paper and plastic based delivery systems for food. So yeah, there's a lot changing, and like look at how fast that happened too. Like you talk about the rapidness and change, like literally it it transformed an industry that had been existent for who knows thousands of years, perhaps ceramics in China, right? And
Right.
one shift and suddenly all of that changed like within less than a year.
This life is a trip, man. It really is.
Which again was good for us here because all the ceramic factories closed and now we can breathe again. The doctors over here they said that the air was like smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day. So
Oh, cows.
that's no joke.
See, and that's another thing. I mean, the things that people will do for a paycheck or for profits. And these corporations, they treat so many of these businesses treat the workers just like crap. Things to be exploited, commodities to be used and thrown away. I used to believe in this I used to believe in a lot of these things. The politics and the economics for sure. I wasn't sold on the religion, but I got a deep religion of love now, man.
Yeah, and I think there's a different aspect of the world that, or of the word religion, that folks don't always necessarily explore. Like, I've told you that I was raised in a semi-religious family. My mother was interested in God, but my father not so much. But they basically put me through private schools like Lutheran and Christian, and then like in high school I went to a private military school that was actually Lutheran as well. And then, but I broke away after that. I broke away from the church, and I really don't ever go anymore. I started going to temple, like Taoist temples and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Obviously, I live in China. They don't really have churches here. But so my use of religion, rather than being the sense of an organized participation and an outward expression of religion, turned inward. And so I turned it into the verb, right? I have religious practice, like I pray daily and I meditate and I seek out scripture, not necessarily just the Bible. Many people think that
Right.
the Bible is the end all, but I seek out wisdom, the wisdom of the ancients, through reading spiritual scriptures. So my spirituality has basically become my religion. And that's part of what attracted me to you, is that you are not your classic style of Christian, like mainstream Christianity.
Oh,
You embrace the idea that people can fellowship and worship in other ways, and I found that very attractive.
absolutely. The what you said about that idea of religious being, a fervent practice. That's that's what that's what I do. My religion is love. I practice it often, and and the way I know love, well, love for the truth, and that's what you're saying too, Frank. Finding wisdom each day, finding new thoughts, new ideas. And I had this thought earlier today. I think I did a poor job of explaining it earlier. But the idea of meditation and being peace, letting go of the fear and letting go of the selfishness, letting go of the selfish part of us that wants to talk in our mind. And if we sit without the fear, without the thought, without the desire, things come up. And those are the answers we need.
Yeah, you're right about that. And you talked about it earlier as well, that putting ourselves in God's hands and then letting him take care of the rest. When we do seek out those quiet moments and let the agitation of the mind recede a little bit, then the answers do emerge and truth does emerge. And in this space, especially like here on the panel verse and stuff, like no one allows for it. I've noticed you do. And then you wait patiently to see if other people will, but oftentimes they do not. Like if there's even a moment of quiet, like they will not relinquish the tendency to fill that space. And I know it has something to do with broadcasting, right? Dead air, so to speak. But it makes it turn into that self-same, worldly competition of just trying to, get ideas out there for the sake of filling space. Whereas when we back off a little, then that space can allow like higher levels of communication.
That's what I've been learning. To be with the space of being. To just allow and receive. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
No, it does. And that's what I was pointing out, is that like it shows in the way you interact with people that you're allowing the room, almost like, give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves, but you're allowing the space for growth and development. And then a lot of people don't catch on to that. Like I said, they want to be belligerent and incessantly aggressive with their ideas, like they have to prove something, which is I think it's kind of the wrong way to go about it. Like if we really let the Lord in, then that will be proved through us, through like genuinely trying to adhere to some of these precepts of love and letting go of fear and trying to provide abundance and this kind of thing. Yeah, so I think you do it as a daily display on your show, and that's, I wanted to reaffirm that's what I'm getting from tuning in daily and listening to your show.
Sincerely, thank you. Your feedback is beautiful, and I appreciate that you do see that. I'm having faith with many of these characters that eventually they're gonna have to see. They're gonna have to see that they're wrong. I had game plans today for Snafu in case he showed up, but and that character Steven too. Some of these dudes, man, they're nuts. They're certifiably nuts.
Yeah, I can't deny that. And I think your work is making progress, like progress is made in gradual incremental change. And maybe we don't all see it at first. Like, and me, myself too, like I've showed up with a lot of my own personal motives and stuff like that sometimes. But by gradually tuning in and seeing the way you're operating and seeing the slow but steady change in some of them, and then again some of them are stubbornly reticent to allow, to soften the heart and to let real growth happen. And you think maybe they made some progress one day, then they show up the next day with even like renewed vitriol, and you wonder, like, what the fuck is going on with these guys, And so I know it's a battle, but I do see that ultimately a lot of your goals are being met, but it's not just like overtly obvious.
I keep reminding myself that somehow it's all coming together. And Frank, I do believe that we're a part of something pretty mysterious. This life has many, many, many layers to it. And my eyes have been opened to many things.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like everybody's worried about the coming technocratic state where we're under constant scrutiny and observation. But that's been the truth all along anyways. Like God and the angels and the divine realm, they have a constant, and people don't like this. Like this is an outdated mode of thinking, like God up in heaven, looking down on us and being able to see us when we're in the closet masturbating or whatever. People don't like this intrusion into their lives, but it's a privacy by the human sense is something that doesn't exist in the spirit realm. We're under constant observation, and like you said, there's a greater mystery, and that's part of what it is that we're already on display to ourselves and the Lord and the spirit realm. And to think that we can get away with like sin in our so-called private space is really kind of an asinine thing. It's like a human hallucination.
Well said. It is. Although the other thing too, I don't know if sin exists. Mistakes happen for sure. But truly the only sin is denying the mistakes. Because if God is unconditional love, and the messages of Jesus are true, then forgiveness has been given.
Yeah.
And so we live in a society where so many people are taught and conditioned to feel unworthy, to believe that they're made of sin. And then we live in a world surrounded by corruption. Well, the two go together. We feel unworthy when we enable sin. And what's happening in the U.S. politics is sinful.
Right. So maybe, like you said, maybe there isn't something so-called sin. So yeah, and I agree with that type of thinking. And so to maybe further define it and bring a little more context to what I meant by that is that there are certain behaviors like addiction or depravity or something that someone might engage in that the conscience will tell us is not right in some way, right? Or it's wrong. And if we persist in and continuously make that mistake, then I guess that's kind of the darkness of what I thought might be considered to be sin. For example, like the military engaging in killing people when they don't necessarily have to do that, or interfering in other countries, and then like the corruption within government, and then them to persist in that, knowing that it's not contributing to the overall healthful development of society. I think those are some of the things that I might point towards as being sinful, if you will.
I can agree with that. I heard something earlier. I heard a description earlier today, right? Once we go beyond this realm, we're going to carry our memories eternally. And so the regrettable is unforgettable. We want to live without regret. And that means, we got to be honest. And we don't want to judge. Because regret is often the result of a judgment.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Like when I thought about it in deeper contemplation, and I thought about like the regret or the sin or the failing to do what is right, like there've been, I don't know, certain situations in my life. Like I'm thinking about as I was walking along the boulevard, and when I first met my wife and we were dating, and I had come over here to Beijing to attend some university level classes and wanted to continue dating her because we actually met in Boston. Her and her girlfriend took me and another guy that she was dating or whatever out to dinner one night, and we had a wonderful meal in like a really nice restaurant, like a 5-star restaurant, and we ordered so much food that there was a lot of leftover food, like packed up, really, really high quality stuff. And we had walked outside, and they intentionally set this up to test us. I didn't know that at the time, but she later told me. And so I was carrying the food, and we were all satiated and stuff, and some beggar was walking by and asking for handouts and stuff like that. And the other guy, that he was also an American, and the other guy that was with us, he told the beggar to fuck off or whatever. And she turned to me and said, "Hey, can I have whatever's in your hand, like the leftover stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, here, take it." Because I was thinking about it, and I was thinking like, we just spent several hundred kwai or whatever on the food, and it's a wonderful, delicious meal still in the box and still warm. And so I handed her the whole package, and I'm like, "Absolutely, darling, take it." And then as we walked away, the other guy said, "Why'd you do that? The fucking beggars, you don't need to give them anything." And later, the gal that was with that guy broke up with him, and then my wife said, she said, we kind of set that up as a test to see how you guys would react.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of a funny thing. And she said, "I knew at that point that you were a good guy and you had kindness in your heart." And so I guess I had passed her test, so to speak. Kind of a funny thing.
Hey, good for you, though. I mean, that's the right way to be.
Yeah, and what I meant by highlighting that is that, like, I felt the kindness and the, like the love swell in my heart. And then later on, there were situations where I did not give. And having reflected back on that, I realized that it was because of being judgmental towards the person reaching out. And I thought, there have been a few times when maybe my discernment was accurate, but then there were times when I looked back and thought, hey, I could have done a little something extra, even maybe not even giving, but just taking a moment to stop and communicate. And it might have changed things for the better. And I think going forward in my life that I like to tend to do that every time now. Like even, if it's just someone asking for a handout, you have to wonder, why is this person in my path, right? What's going on here? What's playing out at the invisible level that I'm not seeing?
That's what I've been trying to figure out too. And good on you for your awareness and your reflection. I've experienced that too. Telling people no, I don't have anything, and then realizing, oh yeah, I do. But just being short-sighted or judgmental. And it's just quick, instantaneous thoughts, but that's how life happens. But there's also been times where I've wondered, could I have done more? What more could I have done? And really, this life... Oh, the other thing you said too, Frank. I've really been, in my practice of being more present, I pay more attention to who actually enters into my life. Because whoever's with me in the moment is special. And there's a reason for it. So... is the blessing or lesson for me, for them? What can we share?
Right. It's important somehow, like there's something, again, you said, folks point this out, and you pointed it out earlier too. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
I thought about a situation. I had arrived in LAX. I think it was back in 2017. And I had just jumped off the plane, and I fired up a smoke or whatever. And there was a black dude that approached me and asked for a cigarette. And I basically my knee jerk reaction was just to tell him to fuck off. And he did, he walked away from me, and he wasn't persistent. And then my heart softened a little bit, and I walked back towards him, and I was like, I'm sorry about that, man. What's up, bro? Here's. And I ended up, I don't know, I took a couple cigarettes for myself or something and gave him the whole pack. And then I had called a taxi or whatever, an Uber, but I stood and talked with him for a while. And I realized that, sometimes I'm arrogant and self-absorbed, and it's like, fuck, man, you can't be that way. Sometimes you gotta take a step back from yourself, and your arrogance. And I think, like, you having the opportunity, I know you have high aspirations, but like the opportunity to talk with a guy like Trump, he needs to have a course correction, and he needs to have that talk. And if you had that opportunity, I think he would be able to step off his high horse for a minute and see what the everyday man, like a new perspective, right? And I think that would be really, really helpful in the current climate and the current crux of, like, we could go in either direction at this point. And he's really fucking up, as it were, and taking it in the wrong direction.
That's the way I feel. And thank you. I do believe that Donald Trump, he could definitely benefit from a heart-to-heart connection on what is going on. And that's what I said earlier. My goal to speak with him is to help him. I don't want to see him fail, I don't want to see America fail. I don't want to see anyone fail. I want to see the world prosper. And we'll prosper when we start working together, instead of when we're fighting for control over each other. Oh, that's what I mean. It makes sense of the propaganda, because the government keeps secrets. The government keeps secrets from other nations and from its people. And if you're going to have secrets, those are with enemies. So the government treats the people as enemies. They claim they're there for our freedom, but it's not. It's for our taxation. It's for the what's the word? For the capitalization. I would love to help Donald Trump better understand what he's involved with, and help him see what he's not seeing. He has the chance to lead America into peace, to lead America into reforms, and America can lead the world into peace and reforms.
Yeah, I've seen that at my heart level. Like, I've been here in China for a long time, and when I first when me and my wife first had children, like one of the things I sought out was the great icon that the U.S. flag has come to represent. As far as I was raised as an American, and like so I started going to the Boy Scouts, and so I took both my kids to Scouts, and I became a Scout leader, and then ultimately they wanted to promote me to Den leader, but I saw this vision as I stood next. What our den leader at the time was a really great guy. You call him Denny, and he had such a like a kindness in his heart, and he was a really good leader and organizer. And I always kind of thought of the Scouts as the Boy Scouts as semi-militant. That we were up to something about like military style training, because the Lutheran school actually raised me with a more militant like type of mentality. But the way he ran the Scouts was entirely like a humanitarian endeavor. Like we were camping and we were doing these things as soldiers might, but we were doing it for the virtues of the Scouts. Like they have 12 core virtues, and then they like their little oath that they take is I promise to God and country, to do what's right and follow the Scout law and try to be a good guy and this stuff, like, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And I thought, good God, if this was actual foundation of people's thinking while they're in government and like actually trying to aspire to these things, that, no soldier would pull the trigger and kill. That there would always be ulterior options, and that like the U.S. military with its great establishment and force could be like a really powerful thing for spreading that, like what you just said, that the liberation of humanity, and not through conquest and war, but through humanitarian efforts.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, no worries. There's some conversation going out in the chit chat box, and since we're kind of long in the tooth here at this point, but I would like to reiterate some of the things, if I may, like about the channel. We've got Jack Talcott here. We're having a little bit of an after party, guys. I felt like the show today ran a little short for my to satiate my lust for being in Jack's presence. So I invited over here, and here we are having the conversation and getting it a little bit longer. I'd like to remind you that if you haven't, please hit the like button for the YouTube algobots. Keep them barking like Pavlov's dog. Definitely check me out at buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. If it's your first time, don't let it be your last time. And guys, we're here with Jack Talcott having conversation. I don't know, how much more time do you have, Jack? Are you willing to hang around a little longer and maybe answer some of the questions from the chat?
I'm feeling good for now. I'm not sure how much longer I do have, but for now I'm okay. It's up to you. Yeah.
Okay, for a few more minutes at least. Good magic then. I would like to remind everyone that you can find Jack Talcott here on YouTube at there's the thing at Jack Talcott, and then of course he's got a website, Live Without Fear, that they're looking forward to. I believe if this is correct, Jack, you said to putting a little more energy into and reinvigorating it. It's got a contact option here, so you can click on that. And if you scroll down a little further, you can actually, I believe, schedule a consultation with Jack, a first-time free consultation. So guys, get over there and check that out. Put a little more interest in that website, and that will give that'll give the motivation and opportunity for that thing to develop more thoroughly. And Jack, with that in mind, I think I mentioned this to you a couple of weeks ago, that my daughter has shifted and is doing university classes online and stuff now. And she's been suffering some psychological trauma and adapting to that. And she's the only one in our family, like besides myself, that kind of aspire towards like the Christian ideal of loving God and stuff. And she gets a lot of negative feedback for that. Like that's really hard on her. When she was first introduced to the idea of Jesus being a way towards salvation, like she fully embraced it and thought it was legit. And then because of society here and, especially her mom, she's really it's been kind of a challenging battle for her. She's been persecuted as having the idea to have a Christian mindset. And so I thought if there was an opportunity for her to talk to other people, and yeah, so I'm going to sign up. What I mean by that is I'm going to put in my data and sign up and see if I can get that free consultation for my daughter.
Frank, you don't even need to go through the process. Anytime, yes. But please check it out. Let's see if it works if you're willing. And then, yeah, dude, if I can be of support to you or anyone, that's what I live for, honestly. A better world.
Absolutely, I will do that. Yeah, it is. It's so important, and thank you for that. And thank you to Trexie too. Trexie's out in the chat. She said, "Wish your daughter nothing but the best." Thank you for that, Trexie. Yeah, it can be challenging transitioning from high school to university, and then like, trying to adapt to new things.
Change can be scary, especially when we're not used to it, right? And a young lady, yeah, she's not used to a lot of the changes. It's all going to be new. And blessings to Trexty, Sophia, Daisy May. What is that? Printed Words. Blessings to everybody joining in.
Yeah, good magic. Trexie says, who's this Jack Talcott? Have you heard of Jack Talcott? Tell a friend, right? I think she's being a little playful there.
Yeah.
And it sounds like her situation in Ireland, like I'm not overly familiarized with the Catholic Church, but from what I do know, it does seem to be like very formal. And
sorry, yeah. That was my experience. I didn't go to many Catholic functions, but holy cows, it was like just frightening and dead inside is what I remembered. And I didn't realize the things that some children have been taught, this damnation of hell. Man, hell is the absence of love.
Yeah, and it's funny too. I don't know if the church gets this or not, but I remember being a young man in the pews and hearing about fire and brimstone and the devil. And I was very imaginative. Like I would daily pray for the, what is it called? The tribulation. And I would like try to think about the gates of hell opening up and the devil jumping up and what fun that would be to see all the fire and explosions and Jesus appearing in the sky and all of this. And I'm like, you're getting the exact opposite reaction out of young people than I think you're getting. You know, the next thing you know, I'm drawing devils in my notebooks and stuff. Right. And I'm like,
yeah. Dude, it makes sense. I mean, in the biggest picture, everything makes sense once you find the answers that make sense. And if you think about this as a spiritual playground, we are eternal souls, spirits of consciousness who are experiencing this temporary playground of earth. But this playground of earth has been corrupted. It's like it's been a battleground for the dark versus the light. But the reality is, God is the light. The light has already won. We are the light. We have already won. We're here to remember that. And something not sorry to keep going, but something I heard earlier today with unconditional love. To know unconditional love, we must know the unlovable. And that's what this realm is for.
Yeah, you're right. And it is the light. We are winning. And the idea that we need to remember. I heard it maybe on your show as well, but I heard it at some point recently that we should remember that we're all kind of walking each other home. And I thought that was a really beautiful expression of the truth, and that we need more friendship and fellowship. And and it's not what's happening right now at the on the world scene. They're really painting a picture of that battle that you just mentioned.
Yeah. But in the midst of the battles, there's small groups being formed, right? And so there's conversations like this happening all around the world right now. There's a new consciousness that's emerging. And this new consciousness is one of unity and respect and honor and trust and love. Oh, crap.
Yeah, you're right. It's an important message, and it's an important thing to remember too, that we are somehow collectively working towards, at least some of us, right? We're working towards bringing a new message forward and trying to back off the direction towards destruction that some people would like to choose. It sounds like you may have something coming up, and I don't want to keep you too long if you do have to run.
Yeah, I'm going to bounce out, my friend.
Okay.
Frank, thank you, my brother. Appreciate the extra time and your fellowship and support as always. You're a great man, my friend. Catch you later.
Yeah, blessings. Much love, Jack. Thank you for stopping by. Have a wonderful day, man. Yeah, so I had thought maybe it would be fun to go a little longer with Jack. 30 minutes wasn't long enough, so we got an extra hour out of him. Good magic, man. What a thing. I'm glad if you're out there still, Jack, and you can hear me, I'm glad you had the opportunity to stop by and share some of the fellowship here on the old Frank Monday channel. There are lots of things going on in the world today, and sometimes it isn't easy to remember that we all need to be each other's, best friend to some extent. I know we can't help everyone all the time, but we can certainly try to do our best from day to day. And I hope that that satisfied some of the Jack Talcott Afterparty idea. It did for me. It's what I was looking for. Thanks to Trek Steve for stopping by. Blessings to you. I know you had some messages there in the ideas room, and I would like to look at them a little more deeply, because as I was involved with the conversation, I was mostly trying to just pay diligent attention to Jack and his message and find a way to respond to it. But Trexty says here that the church per se is losing its grip, and it's something that she hated: the corruption, the threats, the misery, and forced solemnity. It made me want to act up and give it the motherfucking middle finger, baby. So I did. Yeah, me too. Like I was saying early on, when they were talking about all the death and destruction and the hell and all of that, like as a young man and, just having those thoughts put into my head, I was like, oh yeah, bring it on, let's get involved. Let's see what this devil's all about. Let's see what the end of the world is going to look like, and then when they started in primary school, they started teaching us about the nuclear war, the coming nuclear holocaust. And I was like, really? But just hit the button, get it on, bring it on. It wasn't something that I feared, like it didn't produce fear in me. It produced excitement. And maybe in retrospect, that's actually the effect they were looking for, because they think these things through when they plot them and scheme, and they know what effect it's going to necessarily have on a young man's mind, and yeah. So Jack here in the ideas room says many blessings and love to you, love to everyone who tuned in. Thank you for that, Jack, and thank you for stopping by. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to have you up and to talk to you about some of these very important ideas, Jack. That's good magic. I appreciate that. So yeah, Trexty says she lived in terror of a nuclear war. I had the exact opposite effect. My dad was he was on a lot of the nuclear task force, which he wasn't able to reveal at the time. But after his retirement and near the end of his death, he told me some of the stories. And so I started to develop a mindset. I was very young at the time. He was already very old.
My dad was in his 50s when I was born to him and my mother, but so he had already lived through it. He spent 22 years in the Navy testing nukes and popping them off all over the world. They had already detonated thousands of them. I believe the U.S. something like 3,000, or maybe Russia was 3,000 and the U.S. was 2,000. And so I thought, even if they launch 5,000 nukes, it's not really going to do much, because like my dad said, they're just big firecrackers, that they really didn't pack the punch. Even the ones they build today are so-called build today, right? Yeah, so it gets back to living without fear. Yeah, I had no fear of those things. Like when they were describing them in class and showing the mushroom clouds, a lot of that, like I would go home and tell my dad every day. I'd be like, second, third, fourth grade, fifth grade, whatever. And I'd tell my dad, I'd say, here's what they showed us today. And he'd be like, yeah, a lot of that's trick photography. Those are models set up with miniatures. And I would laugh about it. And I'd tell other kids in school. And at some point he received a talk from the higher ups, and they're like, you can't reveal the secrets, man. You can't be telling your kids this shit. And so they wanted to draft me into a special aeronautics program, like a special space cadet program. And they put me through a series of tests, like IQ tests and math tests and stuff. And I went home and I told my dad about it. And he's like, never. He said, you'll never join the government, you'll never join the military, and you'll never have anything to do with any of those programs, because they're all full of shit. And this is coming from a retired Navy officer who worked with like Admiral Nimitz. He was actually on one of Admiral Nimitz's team. So I could have had a pretty illustrious career in the Navy had I pursued it, but he wouldn't let it happen. He said, no way. He said, stay in the private sector. Just be a regular guy. They're lying to you about all of it. Just know that, what did he say? He said 90% of what's printed in the newspaper is just programming. 50% of what you hear is just nonsense and opinion and hearsay, and just go on. And he said, even a lot of what you see isn't real, that it's staged. It's a kind of global theater. And so, yeah, I grew up with a pretty solid understanding that there was a lot of trickery in the world, and not to buy into much of it. And then when I did pursue things that my dad, for example, thought was of value, he would reinforce that and say, yeah, that's the right direction to go in. It's interesting too, because he wouldn't tell me what direction to go in, right? He would wait for me to discover me and my brother, and I don't know how he interacted with my sisters, because they were an entire generation older than us. So it was basically just me and my brother about approximately 2 years older than me. We pretty much grew up in a different generation. We were born in the 70s. My brother's 71, me 73. And so 2 years apart, and not exactly 2 years, 15 months. But yeah, my pops, he raised us with military training as little boys, right? Like we had to make our beds first thing. You guys have seen the Navy Admiral talk about making your bed first thing in the morning. Like that was our routine. We had a very, very military routine as young men. But at the same time, we had the experience of, a guy who fought through World War II, the Korean conflict, and was even doing operations into Vietnam, right? So a 22 official years in the Navy, but that spanned a 3-decade time span. And so it was a no nonsense type of upbringing, which was, pretty good. It was pretty good. Good fun. So, him telling us that, all the crime in LA was manufactured by the CIA, and that they had white papers on it, and they set up the intersections. Each intersection in the inner city was set up the same way. It had a liquor store, pawn store, gun store, and pornography store. And the CIA hired pimps and drug dealers would hang out there and encourage people to get drunk and smoke crack rock, and then go rob and kill their neighbors. And that was like all instrumental to put people into the prison system. And they're like, we want to break up the families. We want to, get people involved in the prison system and stuff like that. And it was all just so overt and in your face. And my dad's always like, hey, it's a game. You got to watch out. These guys are gunning for you. They're all fucking gunning for you. They're getting all these recent immigrants fired up on crack rock and gangster rap, and then sending them out with government provided guns to kill whitey, right? And they're trying to create white flight so that they can drive them out of their neighborhoods that they had built for the last 30, 40, 50 years, and then reuse the real estate. And so yeah, there was a ton of shit going on, and it's such a complex game that you really, all you can do is, kind of to some extent is practice in virtue and train, to keep your head on a swivel and be frosty, strapped, and dangerous to some extent. And then just, you have to withdraw, right? Like, do not engage. And so that's what we did. We withdrew to other hoods, and we created gated communities. And for those people who aspired to have a peaceful life, they just had to relocate and just say, okay, if you guys are just going to burn down the inner city and fill it with criminal madness, then we're just going to have to back away from it. And so we had to let go of those things that for generations we had been building, beautiful suburban neighborhoods where everyone was polite and it was a high trust society. And we had to just go other places and then just try to rebuild it somewhere else. So yeah, that's the way it went down, and it is what it is. But that's the story of Los Angeles from the 70s to the 90s. It finally all came to a head in 1992 when they used the Rodney King beating as a crux to launch new destructive tendencies among those communities. The 92 LA riots. That's when we had withdrawn. I graduated high school in 92. And my dad decided at that point that, they burned down part of his business, and they burned down like 50% of inner city LA. And it was all orchestrated and all promoted by, we know the usual suspects. We know who's up to what. And it does seem like to some extent this new administration is attempting to root out those old moneyed criminals, some of them at least, that have been on the highway to hell for the U.S. and trying to take on the U.S. on a path to destruction. At least, they're targeting the poorest and most disenfranchised groups in the United States. And I don't know, it seemed like that was the message, that they were finally going to get some criminal charges brought against some of these people that have perpetrated these crimes over the last few decades. But they don't. They let them age out. We see one of the biggest criminals recently. Both have served as presidents, and they're just, they're allowed a very cushy retirement and trips on the Lolita Express to Epstein Island and stuff like that. So they're still holding it over our heads that the truly global elite will never be held accountable for their crimes against the people, and that you just need to roll over and toe the line and bow to the man and just get busy getting busy. I don't know. If Jack's message means anything, then somehow we do need to embrace more love. And we do need to try to embrace this idea of living without fear, right? And those are very abstract things. One of the things I've learned from teaching literature in school and other mind sciences to young people at the high school level for the last 10 years is a tool that was brought forward, I believe, by the Poynter School of Journalism. That's maybe where I first heard it. It might have been in the teaching company's series of lectures on the mind and the tools of thinking. That might have been where I heard it. But it's called the Ladder of Abstraction. And so as a tool for bringing about greater delineation of ideas and concepts, we oscillate between these two spheres. And I could show you a diagram, but I don't have anything queued up on my StreamYard right now. But to give you a mental picture of it, imagine a tangible cup of coffee in a ceramic glass, right? And it's sitting at the bottom, and then off to the left of that is Jacob's ladder, right? Basically a ladder. And the bottom of the ladder is founded on the solid foundation of the tangible, right? These are tangible things, the cup of coffee. And then the coffee is steaming off, and the heat vapor is rising up into the sky, creating, right? It's disappearing to the intangible, abstract ideas. So love and truth and living without fear, those are very abstract things at the top of the ladder, right? And you can absolutely aspire to those things, but it's from the foundation of the tangible, right? Down where that ceramic cup of coffee sitting at the bottom of the ladder, the material, the prime materials plane, is where we make those things, is where we start, right? That's how we get going. So when I describe this in class, I use we prefer the active principle in English, so subject, verb, object, right? And once I start getting into grammar, everybody falls asleep. But so like, I love you. That's that's an active statement, right? But love, again, is abstract, right? So how do I display that love? So one of the examples I use in class for my students is to say, for example, a positive statement like, she is smart, right? So this starts the conversation. She is smart. But then we need to go back down the ladder of abstraction and define how she is smart, right? So the example sentence I use is, she answers questions quickly and correctly, right? This is one display of how she's smart. So I've been trying to apply the ladder of abstraction to Jack's message and ask, what's the upshot? What do we do in the day-to-day? How do we push it forward? How do we bring the thing forward? And everybody has to decide for themselves, right? Everybody's at the individuated level. So the ideal is love, but how do we show love? It's through what is the tangible aspects of those things, right? What is the tangible aspect of love? We show it through affection and kindness and non-judgmental interaction, right? A hug, a kiss, all of those are tangible displays of love, right? And there are more. There's helping your neighbor out. There's calling on the person that hasn't been called on for a while, right? There's writing a letter. There's sending an email. All of these things can help define how we love, right? What about living without fear, right? This is another very abstract idea and again, when Jack mentions these things on his show, sometimes it sends the mind into this realm of miasma and obfuscation and obscurity. It's like, okay, live without fear, but what does that mean? What do I do, right? How do I achieve that? And so I think about it and I think, okay, well, judgment sometimes creates fear in me because I'm judging the person. I may not have all of the data gathered, so I need to learn to hold judgment in abeyance, right? Okay, yeah. Another thing is like that scarcity mindset, right? Like I might not help someone out because I feel like I lack time or I lack money or I need to do this for me, right? So selfishness can sometimes obscure that love, right? And the fear will show itself in that way. So there are definitely tangible things that we can do, right? Yeah, I saw Jack's still listening. Very, very good. Thank you for that, sir. And he clarified a little more and he said, joy is a symptom of love, right? Share joy. And absolutely, right? There are so many things that we can do to display love. And I think sometimes for me personally, like when I'm involved and participating in the spiritual growth and conversations, I'm not seeing the forest for the trees or whatever, right? Or I forget exactly how that expression goes. But yeah, I'm getting lost in kind of the abstraction of it rather than being able to penetrate. But here's the good thing, and this is why I tune in to the Jack Talcott show daily, because I take that message your monologue at the beginning, and then obviously sometimes I get involved in some of the the Jerry Springer antics of whatever folks show up, to judge you and to put you through the trial by fire, as it were, Jack. That I know you've been enduring for a long time. You said 3 years, I believe, but I've only been keeping up with the story for about a year. But we've come to learn some very colorful characters, right? There's the illustrious Illumitami, right? That swears he'll never be back and still tends to show up day to day, right? Though I haven't seen Tommy in a while. Has anybody heard anything about Illumitami? Is he still kicking? It seems like he might have gotten his channel shut down again. I don't know. That guy hanging out under bridge, firing off random rounds into the ether is not a good look. But yeah. And then there's Snafu Snaps, who goes through such mood swings that one day he can be as sweet as honey and just cupcaking and really presenting wonderful optics on the show, right? I've learned a lot of new words from him, like the reiteration of certain things he says, right? You're just going to learn no matter which way you look at it, right? With Snafu and the optics and Crew 101, just trying to, all the while behind the scenes, trying to lampoon you. And, very, very interesting. And then there's Queen Stephanie, the leader of Team Evil, the de facto leader of Team Evil, who generally tries to show up with a honeyed type of tongue of the serpent deceiver, and to I don't know. I really don't get his angle, but he's basically trying to siphon folks over to his stream of 12 to 14 hours a day live streaming, and it doesn't seem like I've looked in occasionally from time to time with Queen Stephanie, and it doesn't seem like he gets anybody up to talk to him anymore. He used to open the panel, and there were 2 or 3 people that would commiserate with him on poking fun at everyone and calling everyone retarded demons and stuff like that. But it seems like that era of his show is basically over, and it's basically now it's just 12 to 14 hours a day of watching him watch the internet and make fun of people. And so that has a certain audience, definitely. There's people who tune in for that and enjoy that. And then there's the king of mediocrity, Blandry, with the AI slop fest, right? And he seemed to launch off like kind of a firecracker in this space. He was able to attract a good portion of Jack's audience to go and maybe talk shit or lampoon the other people in the space. And then he's kind of fit right in there with guys like Slow State and Polly the Slave and stuff like that. And so it's like some days they'll show up and they're working, hand in hand with you and promoting you. And then at the same time, they're going back to their own channels or on other people's channels and then kind of lampooning the whole thing and talking a bunch of shit. And then what's the guy's name? Breakfast Burritos. He showed up the other day and he invited me once again to his show to probably get harassed and try, so that they could try to make fun of me or whatever. And I didn't take him up on the offer, obviously. I was just in your chat hanging out, listening to you, Jack. And then he's really got a bone to pick with me. I'm not sure why. I only went to his channel one time and then I totally forgot about him and have been ignoring him. But if he's brought to mind and if he's attempting to lampoon me again, then it just makes me wonder why. It's like, I guess they run out of content and they run out of people to make fun of and try to make people into lolcows, right? So it's a lot of what I see is that they're trying to pull you in, Jack, to make a lolcow of you. And then, yeah, that's like, if they would invite me up or have me up, it's just so they could try to pick holes in what I've established for myself. Like even, again, leader of Team Evil over there, he tried to insinuate that he had the local government here looking for me and that he had reported me or something for being a dissident. And I thought, good God, what a man of weakness, right? What a person like with such hatred in his heart, that he would try to get someone that spent near 30 years of their life establishing themselves in a foreign country by working hard every day, nose to the grindstone, to be of good service to his community and provide a real service that they desire and want, which is English teaching. I've taught at university level, corporate level, I've taught in government, and I've taught in high schools, both public high schools and private high schools, and I've taught at all levels of education, K through university. And I've done seminars, and I've done TV shows, and I've done a ton of stuff. And it's like, he would try to insinuate that he could have any influence on a person's life like mine from his septic tank in the Canadian wilderness, and think that I would actually turn on to that and like even have any type of belief, or like that he could create any kind of fear in me. And I was like, what a laughable dummy of a guy, right? And it's just so obvious and overt. So Mushroom Coyote's in the house. Good to see you again, Mushroom Coyote. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you being here, beloved. Much love to you and man's best friend there in your iconic picture. This is the first time I've actually zoomed in and had a look at your little your YouTube profile pic there. So that's a lovely thing, man. What a maw on that dog too. That thing's a beast. Looks like you're fucking raising wolves in the wilderness. Good stuff, man. I can appreciate it. I like dogs too. I don't have a dog right now, but I raised a dog when I was a teenager, man. I love that motherfucker. He was my best friend for a long time. Yeah, Jack too. These people have no lives. That's right. They're you know, and it's obvious. Like, they're on the internet almost like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's like, if that's your foundation, oh my God, good God, get out there and get it, you know, do something else rather. I mean, here I am on the internet. I'm going into my third hour now. And the only reason I wanted to spend a little time online socializing and fellowshipping today is because it's Saturday morning. I got the day off. Everybody's asleep. I get up Monday through Friday. I get up at 5 a.m. so that I can do some meditation and Kung Fu before I got to go to work at 7 a.m. Right. And then I work from 7 a.m. is when I get to the cafeteria and have breakfast. And I'm there from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. every single Monday through Friday. Right. And so when I get home in the evenings, I'm basically, you know, I want to have a quick meal maybe and then go to sleep. I'm burned out. I'm tired. I use all of my good energy every day, Monday through Friday, to provide for my family, you know, and to work in a career that I find fulfilling. I really like being in the schools, hanging out with the young people and influencing their ideas, right? And having a part in bringing them up into the world as not just useful citizens, but as actualized individuals, you know. And here in China, the message of freedom and like having your own mind and stuff, it's really a revolutionary type of thinking, you know. It's not something that they're taught, and I only get them at their senior level. So I only get them on the last year before they go to college. So I do college prep and I do language classes and stuff like that. I'm basically just like the last level of refinement before they leave China essentially and go abroad and go to American and Western universities. And so it's a great, wonderful opportunity to see these guys on their last leg of their career and to wake them up a little bit. Be like, hey, you know, be aware of danger. There's a lot of danger in the Western world. You know, people carry guns, they do drugs, they have sex. All of these things you're going to be faced with when you get abroad, and it's going to be a whole new world, you know. Be careful of going out to bars at night, you know. If you want to be successful in college, then basically just minimize that aspect of life, which is some of the most wonderful things about being in college, you know, is getting out there and partying a little bit and shaking a little tail. It's all a part of the game, right? So Mushroom Coyote says, to want, that's despicable. What did Queen Step Hen try to do? Yeah, he does it to everyone. It's just his basic stratagem. He threatened to make your mom and you go homeless, saying I'd libel and slander No, yeah, everything everybody says about him is absolutely true, and everything that he says about everyone else is just exactly what he's doing, right? So he's the exact what is that called? That world where like Superman has a scruffy beard and he's a big slob and doesn't really have any superpowers. Inverto world or inversion world or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, basically Queen Stephanie, the drag queen, and the puppet master with the finger puppets and the blow up doll for a girlfriend. Yeah, he everyone knows what he's up to. I mean, I would hope. It took me like one day of watching his channel to figure out what he was really all about. Because when I first found his channel, all I knew was his Esoterica series. So I'd listened to some of his videos, and though he seemed dark and a little bit mentally ill, I thought that some of his ideas were kind of dialed in. And this is before I really knew much about Gnosticism. And it turns out that he's basically just like regurgitating Gnostic views, which I don't really jive with. It's not my views. But so I paneled up, and I thought it might be fun to go into the sewer with him. But then I realized real quick that he's a villainous, treacherous character, and that I was better off staying the fuck away from him. And then I saw him lampooning Jack, and I thought, huh. And I listened to Jack, and I listened to him listening to Jack, and I thought, wait a minute. Jack actually doesn't seem like that bad of a guy. And so maybe I should better get off of old Step Hen's channel and go over and check out Jack. And having checked out Jack, I was right. Jack's actually a good guy. He's trying to work toward truth, and he's trying to present these ideas of what he's actually up to, like living without fear and learning more about Jesus and his mission on earth, and then trying to embrace some of those virtues in his own life, right? And really bringing about positive change in the world. That's really what Jack's up to. So yeah, and you can't oftentimes, like, it's not something that you can learn in a day and a night about someone. You know, you can't just watch one 30-minute episode and say, hey, I got it all figured out, like Blandry did, right? Master of mediocrity himself, shoveling out the AI slop horse shit, right? Like it's free. He's literally shoveling that AI shit into our mouths like he's getting it for free, and he's trying to use us as plastic processing plants, right? So that's not something I'm interested in either. And a lot of these guys in the realm, I'll never watch them again at all. Like I don't have the free time to spend tuning in to Slow State and other folks, right? So among all of them, for me personally, Jack's the only cream of the crop. He's the only one that kind of rises to the top. And so it is what it is. Oh, and no, I apologize. I was going along the storytelling, and I was showing where, for me, the origins of it were the inception point. And then from Jack's channel, I learned about the machine lies. I believe that's how I found out about the machine lies. And so those are two channels. And then from the machine lies, I think I learned about London Man, KJV. And so I would be amiss not to mention some of the other ones that have also offer a space of fellowship and learning. And so I would say that Jack Talcott rises to the top and being first and foremost in the transmission along that line of like panel verse conversations and stuff. And then the machine lies is a stalwart, but he only transmits twice a week. And so I think that's why Jack comes more to the forefront, because he usually transmits every single day, like Monday through Sunday, which is huge, right? And that a lot of people come to rely on that consistency. But yeah, Machine Lies is another good one. KJV, London Man, and others that I can't think of right off the top of my head. Oh, Ironwork 94,000, a really great show. In fact, Ironwork 94,000, 92,000 is 94 or 92? Might be 92,000. Yeah, good looking out. I appreciate that. That's the way I feel about it. Louis Rossman, if you guys don't know Louis Rossman, he's He's a great political activist that used to work in computer repair. And I think he still has a computer repair shop, but now he basically just works in political activism. He's a great voice for the people and has risen up as a star among men for challenging the system. His whole gimmick, his first angle was right to repair, that we have the right to repair our own items, cars, trucks, computers, refrigerators, anything that you buy, you should own. And so he's the only one kind of leading the charge to fight against the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab's idea that you shall own nothing and be happy. Just live in the pod and eat the bugs, right? He's kind of the only one providing pushback against that guy and his new world order of being a permanent renter. Okay, you subbed to 92,000. Good man. I hope you can appreciate it. And obviously, the shows I watch are not necessarily going to be the shows that you guys like, right? Eric Dubé just released a great video. I forget the nature and content of it, but I think I listened to it like twice in a row. And so I don't really agree with Eric Dubé's spiritual views, but I don't have to because he does good work in other areas. KJV London Man. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not. His YouTube channel is London_man. And he was actually, and I misspelled that. It should be London, London. Sorry. Let me set down my microphone and type. LONDON_man. Yeah, he goes by KJV or London Man or London McLovin, but he does alternative research in, I guess that's called like the truther space. I'm not sure how to label everything, guys, because like I said, I'm really new to some of these communities on YouTube. I've been watching YouTube for, 10 years now, and I've been making videos on YouTube for close to 10 years. But I only found out about these other avenues of YouTube, like the so-called panelverse or dramaverse. I only found out about that about a year ago. And since I found out about it, I've only had an opportunity to explore maybe 10 platforms that do panel chats. 007 is another one. I was just on 007's show the other night. And typically if I go on a night and I'm able to, if I go on someone's panel, then I'll restream it. And it was kind of hard over at 007 because there's a couple of dominant figures that don't really allow for, I'm not going to say that don't really allow for it, but it's a little tougher to add some value to their conversation because most of it's within realms that I haven't explored and don't understand. So yeah, it is what it is. Right, some of them you'll jive with more than others. Ironwork's one that I love to be on. He might even be live right now. I know that London Man is, but like I said, I'm a loyal, diehard follower and watcher of Chats with Jack, and so the reason I'm having the Jack Talcott after party right now is because Jack was a little bit under the weather and only went for about a little less than an hour, I think about 35-40 minutes on this morning's show. And I thought, God, that only kind of whetted the palate. That didn't satiate the hunger, right? And so I wanted to get a little more Jack Talcott, and as a result, I was able to. But here's his website, guys, Live Without Fear. What a thing. Make sure you check it out. And I don't know if there's like what way you can interact with the site. You can contact them. So I think this will put you on maybe on a mailing list, an email mailing list. I'm going to do all this later, and then I'll be able to report back to you guys and show you what I found out. But you can click on find out more, and there's a link to get a free consultation with Jack, available daily by appointment only. So I'm going to do one of those. Like I said, I'm going to do one of those for my daughter and try to set that up so that their time zones can line up. And then we've got the philosophy of choosing love and abundance over fear and selfishness and scarcity, right? That's a really great message. Why it's important. Let's find out, why is this important? What is live without fear? Think about the choice, guys. Live without fears and insecurities, or don't. It's up to you. Fears are overcome through understanding, and understanding comes through expansion of our love and wisdom. So why is living without fear important? Because it leads one toward peace, confidence, joy, compassion, generosity, fulfillment, wonderment, and love. All right, so we have a series of 8 attributes. And we can find out more. Let's see what happens if we find out more. I think the mailing list. So I think there's a mailing list that's all directing towards. And then you can drop in your email and sign up for ongoing communications. Stay up to date. Good stuff. Life in focus. Let's see if there's any articles or PDFs on here. There looks like there's some of this Landry AI art and some of Jack's original art. Live Without Fear. That's the branding there. We've got a new Leo the Lion. The scorpion energy here. I think that's Landry putting himself into the AI art. Copyright 2025. All right, good stuff. All rights reserved. Powered by GoDaddy. Not familiar. Okay, yeah, so it's kind of an archaic thing to look at websites these days. More and more people are just going into the internet ghettos to interact, like YouTube, right? And other platforms of that type. But that's one, this is a website that will take you out of the internet ghetto for a little while. I think there should be a forum on here. That's one tab I would add, would be the opportunity for a forum. And then I think there should be a workbook, like with some of Jack's ideas presented in the form of exercises that you can do, like meditation and prayer. And then what other tab would I add? I would add like a journal, probably like a Jack's daily journal, where he could post his maybe just the pictorial form of his thumbnails that he uses for YouTube and make an archive of it. But that's all work that someone other than Jack needs to do, right? In order for this type of website to function correctly, he needs a dedicated task force that can update it, because he's already doing more than one man can handle, right? He does more work with the shows he does and stuff, and daily living, that I would say that he's probably working full time to promote his message already. And it needs to be someone who has the interest and insight in order to maintaining a website, in order for that to work. So that would be my suggestion there. Yeah, forums are useful. Yeah, the lion's kind of a nice thing, right? Let me see if I can show you guys my things I've got going on behind the scenes. I don't know that I've got it open on here. So, it is what it is. Like too many tabs open on the window, and once you get too many open, then it's that fear of closing them, right? I do, though. I think every couple of days I reboot the laptop and everything has to close and reopen. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we will check it out right here. And if I'm able to pull it up, I will. Looking good. Let's see how this works. Oh yeah, nice. Wonderful. So view page is the way I get it done. Give me just a second, guys. I'm trying to open a page behind the scenes here. There we go. That's looking good. Good magic. Okay, here it is here. Yeah, what a thing. What a wonderful thing. Yeah, so I've mentioned it a few times. I got it here on my banners. So if I go to the banners and I click on this shows a website that I interact with as just kind of a way, that if you enjoy the show, and if any time you ever wanted to say thank you, I've already got 20 people who have participated on the Frank Monday Buy Me a Coffee page. And so I've got the home page, right? Then I've got membership tab, posts, gallery, extras, and commissions. I've got all of these tabs open. What you're going to find on the home page is just like some of the supporters, and it shows. I think you can turn this off if you're a supporter and you don't want to be shown as having donated, but it will show the supporter, and it will show like how, at what level they donated, right? Like Sal Smith joined as a member. You can be an ongoing supporter, you know, like at $1 a month or whatever, you know, zealator grade, stuff like this. And you get different benefits from doing that, right? Like at the zealator grade, the $5 a month level, you all of these are available at the free level too, right? Discount, Discord community, shout out for new members, exclusive posts and messages, and then the joy of supporting me on a monthly basis, so on and so forth. If you do make even a single donation, I'll respond with a short video, right? This kind of thing. Yeah, so it is what it is, right? And then if you go to the membership section, it better delineates all of that, right? The various levels of commitment, and they don't show it to you all at once anymore, do they? Yeah, so I got it set up. You know, it's a work in progress. But if you go to the post sections, I've got a lot of free posts. So I've written articles. The most recent, let's see if we can find the most recent. Not sure if it organizes by that. No, it doesn't, but it organizes them into categories. So some of the categories, like different 100-day challenges I've done, have more. Like Hypnosis has 3 entries, and I haven't organized it all, but it actually gets some good circulation. Like Psionic Ritual Work for the 100-day challenge got 223 views. Some of these I think have gotten as high as 1,000 views. If we look at the second page of posts, very few of them are actually closed only to members, but one-time purchase gets you full membership. I try to write articles periodically. You can see that I wrote some of these back in 2024. I think some of them are as early as earlier this year, like maybe last month, I think was the last time I posted on here. Yeah. And then if you go to the gallery section, you can actually be treated to a bunch of old pictures that I uploaded, but it says that these are locked for patrons of the channel only. Yeah, so there's a bunch of galleries with old pictures of me hanging out with different famous people and different shit like that. Some of my kids and stuff too. Then extras. Oh yeah. Here's a good section. If you want an extra, like a tarot consultation, 30 buckaroonies for an hour-long reading with Frank Monday. 27 for members. Hypnosis sessions are only 25. I got a pamphlet on here, Meditation Series 1. It's just 5 kwai. Spiritual consultations are 50 kwai. Those are a little bit longer, maybe 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, 5 kwai for the meditation book. Let's see. I'll read the description. It says, by the light of the shining trapezohedron, this document endeavors to illustrate a basic meditative practice to be done after Qigong for cooling down, gathering Qi, and spiritual exploration. In esoteric Taoist Qigong, the plasma breath is a breathing exercise that is also known as the Linghuo Neidan Qigong, or palace brightening breath. It is a type of Daoyin, which is a Taoist term that refers to breath control exercises. So they have there, I believe it's a 4-page document. There's only 9 of those left, guys. And when they're gone, they're gone. I'll be revising it, editing it, and republishing it, but it'll be going up to $10. So you might want to get it in its original 4-page PDF format before I update it. I'm going to update it to about 15 pages, and I'm working on that right now. I promised that to Sophia Daisy May as a Christmas gift. So I got a little over a month, but I've got less than a month really to finish it, and then start sending it out, and then make it available on the page here. And I believe that's it. Oh, and there's one last page, commissions. For 10 kwai, I will do you a wizard talisman. So this is what one looks like. If it'll load, yeah. It's good magic. I do a little wizard doodle with some astrological indicator, and then for whatever purpose you want it for, I'll hide a sigil in the painting. Obviously, this isn't one that's finished. I'll use good paper, good inks, good paper, and all that stuff, and then I can send it out to you digitally, and I can also mail it to you in the snail mail, depending on how you want to receive it. So yeah, it's a unique hand-drawn wizard with current astrological data and a hidden talisman of your choosing. Talisman can include things for protection, wealth, well-being, or love. You might like to hang it in a place of prominence and yield the effects of its mystic influence. Yeah, so there you have it there. That's what the old... And then we also have a Discord, guys, if you're interested in joining the Discord. The name of the Discord is Lunar Light Entertainment. And I'm not sure how you find the link to it, but there is a link on my YouTube homepage. So if you go to my homepage and you click on the See Frank Monday page on the YouTube, all right, if that'll load. I don't know, this is really taking a long time for it to load. Let's give it a second, guys. Yeah, there it is there. So we've got 975 members. Wow, we're getting closer to the 1,000 member mark, guys. So thank you for all that. Thank you to everyone that's joined recently, and for people that have been longtime subscribers. It looks like the Machine Lies is live right now, but I think he's doing a music show. So we are live as well with the Jack Talcott Afterparty. Make sure you just click on the More section here, and then scroll down to, where is it? Patreon is no longer active. That's actually defunct, but it's got Lunar Light Entertainment Discord. There's a join link right here. And then there's the Frank Monday Buy Me a Coffee. Don't click on the Patreon, though. I can't even open it. I don't think I have the password anymore, and I need to remove that from my page so that people don't get misdirected. I don't think anybody ever used... I don't think anybody uses Patreon anymore, do they? It seems like once they found out how bad it was, everybody kind of jumped ship. I think you're better off with an OnlyFans than a Patreon, right? Not sure. I don't personally have an OnlyFans. I thought about opening one, but I don't know how to do it. Ooh, what happened with this girl? What is this girl's name? Something Sweeney? You can see the kind of stuff that shows up on my feed, guys. Cash Jordan. Let's see who's number one in my feed right now. Choco Dogger. That's probably the most videos I've been watching recently is Choco Dogger. Asmongold, I love him. The Juice Media, they're so far left. They're fucking out of their minds, but I like listening to them anyway because I get the perspective of the insane radical left. When I listen to the Juice Media, they're so full of shit 90% of the time. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. Looks like OTW is live with 47 folks watching. So you might want to go over there and jump in on that chaos. Chris Lestrange is live with 18 watching. Good magic, man. I appreciate you. Out there shaking your dick, getting shit done. I think he's a Norwegian. His accent kind of throws me. I have a hard time understanding him, but he's fun to watch. So I do watch him, and I don't see anyone else. I guess I could click on people. Thorpe TV looks like they're live. That's good magic. The Y-Files is live. I love the Y-Files, man. Probably one of my favorite shows on YouTube is the Y-Files. He just released a new video recently. AJ and Hecklefish. Looks like Fat-Filled Breakfast Burritos is live as well. What does Breakfast Burritos stuff his burritos filled with? Sausage filled with moldy dick tips. Seems like that's how he gets it done. A sausage made out of moldy dick tips stuffed in a burrito. Sounds like a nightmare to me, but you know, it is what it is. Do your own thing. Get out there and shake your love maker, baby. Frank Monday ain't gonna come over there and knock dicks out of your mouth when you're working. All right. Love the lion. Oh yeah, forum would be nice and love it. All right, good magic. I appreciate you looking out, Mushroom Coyote. I did drop the link, guys. We're getting well into the third hour here. So Frank Monday, FM radio broadcasting to you live from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking once again, like Finnegan. If you've got a yen to expand your ken, then let's get zen, you and me, baby. I'm trying to copy the link and pop it here in the ideas room. If anybody else wants to jump up and hang out with me for a little while, we've still got some time. I have put the link. I should pin it as well. I have to pin it from my phone because for some reason, StreamYard doesn't let me pin links. So I have to go over to YouTube on my phone and pin it that way. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, it looks like it did appear in the and guys, please hit the like button if it's not too much trouble. It looks like only 1 or 2 people hit the like button for today's show, and we kind of bent over backwards for you, right? Pulling Jack out of the sick room, as it were, right? He's trying to rest and relax and take the day off, and I summoned him from the abodes of the Aether and brought him up here for another hour to endure the back and forth with old Frank Monday. So I mean, after all that effort, you guys might want to hit the like button. That would put the lead in my pencil, the pep in my step, and the jelly in my donut. Yeah, I was able to pin the link. Good magic. So the link is pinned. If you do want to chime in, I'm going to take a little break so that I can refresh my coffee and rest my voice for a minute. So I'm going. Oh, it says 11 likes on your end. It said 1 on mine. And then I refreshed it and it said 3. And then I clicked it and now it says 4. So YouTube lies about the numbers. I don't know why. Or maybe it just doesn't function correctly. Is that what it is? Right? Why assume malice when it's probably just ordinary mistake? Yeah. So I'm going to play a quick music video from Dweller of the Dark. I think we got The Devils Down in Judas Mill is a 5-minute music video. So I'm going to play that while I refresh my coffee, take a bathroom break, and allow my voice to rest for just a minute. So if you do stick around and you want to come up on the show later, make sure you hit the link, guys, and come up and join me. If not, I think we might take the show a little longer and get into some readings about magic from Israel Regardi and possibly the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. I've been looking into that over the last couple of days, and there are some points I'd like to share with you. But before we do that, like I said, I'm going to have to take a brief musical introduction. Ooh, the Frank Monday intro. I think that is like 5 minutes long. Let's play that. Let's self-promote one time. Let's see how many. No, it's only 3.5 minutes. So I'll play this, and then I'll probably play a music video after it. This will give me an opportunity to take a bathroom break, and then I'll be able to come right back and then play a song and refresh my coffee. So with no further ado, guys, 12 likes, good magic. Here is the Frank Monday intro that I used to run for the channel, but it's far too long to be an intro. So now it's just it's like a channel video or whatever. So yeah, check it out. I'll be right back.
Coming at ya.
Okay, guys, our next comedian is a bit of a treat, to be honest. It is a bit of a treat. He's been away for 3 years. He is now back from the dead. Well, America. Give a big round of applause for Frank Monday. Did anyone all repeat that?
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that shit. Nick's a good man. You know what that's like, being a good man. It's tough in a fucking city like this, though. You know, nobody gives a fuck. They're like, God damn, some crazy shit. Motherfucker wearing high heels and shit. Looking good, too, huh? Yeah, you guys like that. That's all right. It's okay to fall down occasionally. I do that sometimes. All right, being back in the G is pretty fucking nerve-wracking. You know, performing for 4 minutes straight. The only other time I get this anxious when I gotta perform for 4 minutes straight is when I gotta make love to my wife.
Onion ring. Yeah, they're all right.
Hey, be watching for the Star Wars blog Rebellion coming out in December. You'll love it. It's follow-up to the award-winning Generations. Oh, yeah. There you go, Frank.
Here's my burger. All right. Frank motherfucking Monday coming at you. FM radio broadcasting from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking. Once again, like Finnegan, if you've got a yen to expand your kin, then let's get zen, baby. You and me getting it done with Lunar Light Entertainment. Yeah, good magic, man. I can appreciate it. I hope you can appreciate it, Wayfarer. Wizard, warrior, wanderer, wildcat alike, wherever you are, whoever you are, whenever you are receiving this transmission, keep doing good magic. I'm going to queue up a song. I realized that I'm actually going to have to, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to grind some coffee. I don't have any beans ground. I got the water boiling in the electric kettle, but I'm going to have to grind the beans, which is going to take a minute longer than I had anticipated. So I am going to try to load up a little bit longer of a video to give myself a bit of an intermission, because nobody's clicked the link and joined me on panel. So it looks like I'm going to be doing this show solo this evening until either one of you guys chimes in or we run out of time and someone in Happy Land here gets up and tries to upend us. Let's go with a bit of music. I think that would be a little more interesting. We have some other things. We've done the invocation of Tahuti already, so I don't want to do that again. But this song, let's see, how long is this song? Okay, yeah, I've got a song, a little bit of an older one from Dweller of the Dark, but it looks like it's 7 minutes long. So that'll probably give me just enough time to grind my beans and pour another cup of coffee. You guys know how I like that black magic, man. I like my coffee like I like my magic Stygian Onyx Twilight Night Black. Yeah, so let's get this up here. And then I will be back. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Mushroom Coyote, good magic, good looking out. That was a fun intro, really, right? That shows like Frank Monday and what he's up to here in Beijing. Out there swing dancing And then that was me in LA with my uncle. He's a Hollywood big shot, getting a burger, right? Hanging out at the beach. I was basically born at the beach, right? Grew up surfing. So I'm bringing that Southern California vibe to old Twilight Zone, old Peking, man. I still like to get out occasionally and hit up the skateboard or the surfboard. But getting a little bit older, guys, a little bit older. I'm halfway to 100. So, yeah. I love fresh ground coffee, too, man. Nothing like it. I got really good beans, too, that I bought at, like, Costco, like Sam's Club. We've got a Sam's Club over here where we get everything imported from the U.S., and so I got imported beans. No, I grew up in Long Beach. I grew up in North Long Beach on the border of Compton and Long Beach. That's my claim to fame. I was hanging out with Eazy-E at the Compton swap meet. NWA, right? Niggas with attitude. Hanging out with those Negroes in the hood. So I'm a hood baby. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to go grind a few beans and get myself a coffee going. And then we'll have another hour or so of the show. It'll be good magic.
From my younger years when all was gold, from misty days which now seem unreal, I remember the grey room in the wood, between the pillar and the pyramid in shape B. Always a memory blazing red hot in the grey, always a recollection burning the mists away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun. When you and I loved under the rune stone as one, emerald solemnity amidst the leaves, emerald silence, this church of green, grows shone and shone in my tender years, and always with some hint of wonder, always a memory blazing red hot into the grey, always a recollection burning the mist away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. And I remember you in my youth, straying together in the brilliance of sun, stumbling, sweating in the heat of afternoon. I left the mysteries of your heart in that forest shade, standing in the ancient wood, we saw the rise of the root. Always a memory blazing red hot into the grey, always a recollection burning the mists away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. Grey stone rising from shimmering grass, you cried out to me as I eclipsed your heart. We ran from love. Always a recollection burning the mists away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. How that ageless room remained in my mind, grey as a ghost, it has haunted me for all time. I often wonder if you feel the same, ancient in the wood, lingering not as a memory, but a sensual sensation that warms us both on cold nights alone. Always a memory blazing red hot in the grey, always a recollection burning the mists away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. Emerald wood swelling like the sea, tossing of the bright boughs in the sunshine, sweet smell of the grass and flowers, mountain summer wind upon your cheek, Always a memory blazing red hot into the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. And I remember you in my youth, straying together in the brilliance of sun, stumbling, sweating in the heat of afternoon. I left the mysteries of your heart in that forest shade. Standing in the ancient wood, we saw the rise of the root. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. Gray stone rising from shimmering grass, you cried out to me as I eclipsed your heart. We ran from love, hearts racing away. We ran from love, heaving in the terror of the unknown. What was so dire that we would not use the passion's fire? Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. How that ageless room remained in my mind, gray as a ghost, it has haunted me for all time. I often wonder if you feel the same. Ancient in the wood, lingering not as a memory, but a sensual sensation that warms us both on cold nights alone. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. And I remember you in my youth, straying together in the brilliance of sun, stumbling, sweating in the heat of afternoon. I left the mysteries of your heart in that forest shade. Standing in the ancient wood, we saw the rise of the root. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. Gray stone rising from shimmering grass, you cried out to me as I eclipsed your heart. We ran from love, hearts racing away. We ran from love, heaving in the terror of the unknown. What was so dire that we would not.
All right. There it is there. I'm back. I got my cup of coffee. Had a little bathroom break. And I'm ready to get back in it with y'all good looking, sexy people out in Happy Land. I hope you're doing well. That was, in fact, Dweller of the Dark. Not exactly sure which song that was. It was a longer one, though, that he did for the 4th of July celebration. So you guys get over there and check him out if you are interested. I got the coffee and I got the willingness, but I don't have the participants yet. So let's see, what have we done so far today? Let's review. What have we covered? We started the transmission as a bit of a monologue for the Jack Talcott show, Chats with Jack, and my interest in doing that was in trying to attract his attention so that I could get a little more face time, as it were, with Mr. Jack Talcott himself, and I was able to achieve that. I think we got an hour-long conversation. And so that's good magic. Then the other thing was to just keep exploring these ideas, right? About love, light, truth, fellowship, all these things that make the world go around, how to do right, right? How to do things that are beneficial. Yeah, TML is live, guys. He's doing Gungeon music. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but you might want to get over there and check him out. Cyber Caliphate is live as well. Salty Cracker did a video on Woke is Dead, right? Are you woke as a joke and ready to go broke? So yeah, Woke is Dead. It's been dead for a while. I think it was kind of a stillbirth, right? It was kind of dead in the gate. But it worked for a while. They were able to lampoon people and get them canceled. If that's the jargon they're using for that. RJ Talks did a video. It says Schumer folds in humiliating defeat. So are they bringing an end to the government shutdown? I don't know. I'm not keeping up with U.S. politics that much, but it does kind of bleed into my feed. And there are a few people that I listen to talk about it a little bit. I listen to Mike Zero talk about pop culture sometimes, maybe once or twice a month. I listen to RJ Talks. I think that's what his show's called. Let me see. Yeah, RJ Talks. And he does political commentary. I listen to him a couple of times a week, maybe 20-minute videos is what he makes. And then I listen to Styx Hexenhammer. I only listen to Styx videos maybe once or twice a month anymore, though, because he started drinking real heavy, and drunk Styx doesn't really, he's not as good as he used to be. Sober Styx was a lot better. Like, he went sober for, I think, close to a decade. And then, like anybody else, right? Just a little tipple here and there. And now he's a full-fledged drunk again. So that's kind of a bummer. I'm a bit of the same situation. Like, I went sober for 13 years. I quit drinking in 2007. And then I started drinking a little bit again during 2020, right? During the darkness of the soul worldwide, global lockdown 2020, new world order in your face. So when all that went down, and like literally I lost a person a year since the great lockdown due to the jibber jab, right? First it was my brother, only a year and a half older than me. He succumbed to it and had a cardiac arrest. And then it was my best friend, and then mom and dad, and then another really close friend. So I lost a total of 5 folks. Everyone that like I really, really loved a lot and wanted to go visit again. Like, either I visited my mom, I don't know, every couple of years. I would go back to the US like pretty much every year or every other year, like every 2 years maybe. I think the longest I went was like 3 years one time without going to see my mom. And yeah, I wanted to have those people around for, because ultimately my retirement, I want to retire in the US. Yeah, no problem, Sophia. I've grieved sufficiently, and I've done sufficient obsequies to mourn them. And so I'm not grieving. I'm just telling you guys because it's what kind of drove me to drink a little bit again. And now I'm where I'm drinking once a week probably. But it's way better to be 100% sober if you can at all. And I'll get back there. You know, I have a couple of beers a week, and that's me justifying it and hemming and hawing. But sobriety is far superior. And because I drank in college a little bit, I never really drank that much. You know, everyone likes to throw around the term alcoholic, but I've never really been an alcoholic. I just enjoyed drinking. And I would do the weekend kind of drinking, you know, with the boys and going out to the bars and clubs. And then when I gave up, like entirely, I think my wife pushed me to give it up. She's like, "You're married now, you got kids, there's no reason to be drinking." And I agreed with her. I'm like, "You're right," you know. And so I went 13 years without a single drop. not a single drop of alcohol of any kind, and I wouldn't even allow myself any. Like if people were drinking, and even at a dinner party or something, I'd be like, nah, I'm not gonna drink. I got a young family. There's no reason to drink. And so yeah, it was good stuff. But now my kids are, they're pretty much raised up. My daughter's going to college. My son's about to enter into college next year. And I'm like, yeah, I can have a beer occasionally or a glass of wine, but that's it. I'm not gonna be a routine drinker. I do like it though, and that's one of the problems is that I really, really do enjoy having a fermented beverage from time to time. And I can control it, but when I'm drinking, I can't. You're a different person when you start to drink. Alcohol has spirits in it, and depending on which one you're imbibing. If it's wine, it's a kind of a different spirit. I think it's a little bit more sexy, right? If it's beer, it's a little more belligerent. I think whiskey's a little bit more humorous, perhaps. And those are the only ones I've ever really used. Is like wine, beer, and whiskey. I like the occasional Pinot Noir or a decent Merlot. Nothing wrong with that. With a heavy meal. A little bit of that is okay. Yeah, have a little wine occasionally, and occasionally some whiskey. Yeah, I think sobriety is far superior for the most part, but sometimes the body hurts and the mind is vexed. And it's like, I just want to fucking get drunk one time and bang my fists on the table and yell at people and go to sleep and wake up with a hangover. Yeah, wine is far gentler. Yeah. Whiskey's numbing, huh? Okay. Yeah, I usually get more comical when I've had a little whiskey. Like I'll talk more shit, but I won't be angry. Whereas beer will usually, like once I've had a lot of beer, yeah, like beer will make me into a kind of an angry drunk. Because like beer, you've got to, if you want to get a decent buzz with beer, you got to have like 4 or 5 of the motherfuckers, right? And so I think it's, I'll try to watch the language. So it's almost like you're chasing a high with beer. Whereas whiskey, you can have one glass and you're fine, right? You don't need to drink it to excess. I honestly, I prefer cannabis. If that were something that was available, I would just take a toke occasionally, and that would be way better. In fact, that's how the first time I quit smoking cigarettes, the first time I quit smoking cigarettes, I used weed. I just bought myself an ounce of really good, dank cannabinoids. And every time I wanted to smoke a cigarette, I just fired up a joint. And it was funny too, because I was able to quit smoking, drinking, and basically all vices, even the weed, everything. I used the weed to quit it all. And then when it came down to it, like I didn't even have time to smoke weed. Like maybe once a month, maybe once every 6 months, I would take a little toke and that would be enough. And like when you're in deep sobriety for a long time and then you take a little puff of weed, oh my God, it's like the first time all over again. It's so wonderful. Like the smell of it and the allure and the sensation. Okay, yeah, I think THC gummies would be the way to go. Like just the occasional high quality THC gummy. What a thing, man. Yeah, it's wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah, Mushroom Coyote agrees, says love smoking a little puff give from time to time. Ain't nothing wrong with that, baby. Yeah, California has some of the best ever. California, Colorado. Good God, man. They've mastered that stuff to the highest level of connoisseurship. You can go in one of those dispensaries now. Dispensaries? That's what they call them, I think. And you could pick yourself up like a nice Jack Harrer 420, like a sativa indica blend. Roll yourself up one of those bad boys and take a little puff. Take a puff just enough and save some for another day, right? That shit is so potent, so yummy, so delicious. But yeah, being here where it's totally forbidden here. Oh, you can't smoke anywhere. It's like I gotta fly home to California occasionally, Just every couple of years is enough, right? Yes. I'm not a routine smoker anymore. I was when I was younger, though. When I was in college, I'd like to fire one up every evening if I could. But yeah, back then it was expensive and, supposedly criminal. And it's like, oh my God, get over it. fucking just get over it. But they don't, they feel like they have to control something, right? It doesn't matter what they control as long as they're in control. Think about Chinese society and like the basic population birth rates, right? So at one point they felt like they had to have ultimate control and forced abortion and one child policy, and we really got to get a strict control over these people and their love making, right? And they would even they would tell them exactly like what were the confines of love making and how to have one child, and that's it. And so they had to have control over that. Now they've got a graying population and they want to bolster the populace and encourage more people to have babies. So they're offering tax incentives and money. If you have a second or third child, they can go to school for free. We'll give you an extra, 400,000 RMB or whatever. We'll give you incentives. And then the pornography is a little more loosely regulated now, right? Like during the era of the one child policy, they destroyed and banned all forms of pornography from China. But now that we want to encourage the population, we got to control that, right? And so now we're going to promote that a little more. Like think about Japan, where they really have a problem with not getting people to have children. They literally put pornography on television, right? Like love-making game shows, and they constantly encourage people through monetary incentives to have more children. Because you can absolutely authoritarian dictate that people do not have children, but it's a little more tricky to encourage them to have children, right? So, kind of a weird thing. It's just they have to be in control no matter what it is they're controlling, right? If they allow for freedom of speech, then you must express your freedom of speech. You have to get involved and participate and have ideas, right? And then if they say, well, now we don't like freedom of speech, so you must not say certain things, right? There are certain things you must say and certain things you must not say. And it's always changing daily, especially like with each generation. Like my generation, they taught us all to be good Christians and that to get married and have children, and that homosexuality was not good, right? And in this generation, they're saying, don't get married, be independent, be a transsexual, homosexuality is good. And in the next generation, they'll change it again. Right. And it's just about being in control. It's not about anything. It's not about any sort of moral compass towards truth or what's good, in fact, but it's just that we must be the ones who are in control. Right. That's the whole system of governmental apparatus, is some sort of control. When, like Jack was saying earlier, right, it's just an illusion. They don't have any control over anything. Everything's totally out of control, but they have to present the illusion of control and being in control. And that's what it's all about. Let's see, we've got some it's a kind of programming all over the world. That's right. It's in all the programming. It's routine, it's Machiavellian, it's Orwellian, so on and so forth. We know it. We know the shots, right? They're out there calling the shots. And Sophia said it right here, right? You have to, that's why we must go within and be self-regulating, self-governing, more self-reliant too. I think that's kind of a hard part. And it is, we can't be entirely independent. We have to be interdependent. Yeah, I've heard a lot of commentators talk about codependency, but that's not what it's about. We become codependent, so to speak, on each other because what we really want to create is interdependence, right? I do something for you, you do something for me, and that's the way it works, right? One hand washes the other. We scratch each other's backs, and we like that great spiritual guru said. I forget who said it, but they said, treat it like we're all walking each other home. To the timeless homeland, to the kingdom of salvation, to the end of our days. Why not just do that, right? That's why it kind of broke my heart when everybody started dying off. Those were the people I was supposed to spend my golden years with, sitting on the patio and waiting for the end, right? Walking each other home back to the heavenly kingdom. But they all checked out early, and you know what? They're going to be with me, and they're there. And when I get on that old patio in the rural Tennessee countryside, and I'm sitting there watching the golden dawn set, right? The sunset of life. They're all going to be there. They may have passed from this realm, but they're going to be there greeting me in the timeless homeland, welcoming me back, being like, what took you so long? Look, we all checked out halfway through. Well, like my brother and my friends, they checked out early, but my mom and my dad, they made it into a ripe old age, and here's the truth, guys. I've seen the truth. I've seen the heavenly realm. I've seen beyond death multiple times. I've been dead 3 times and brought back to life by by emergency room technicians. Once was an alcohol overdose. Once was a Datura overdose. And I'll not talk about the third one because it was violence related. But 3 times officially dead, hard stopped, had to get jacked back in, had to get bumped back in. But I'm back now, and I don't live that style of life anymore, and I'm not going to live that style of life. And I'm going to do my best to make it all the way through the journey and walk some of you guys home, right? Because that's right. Isn't that a great way to look at it? Being a true family of humanity and kind of all the time living in the timeless homeland and knowing that all your ancestors, all the people you've loved that have passed or left your life are still right here with you, right? And a lot of them are watching you from the invisible realm. That's why this hallucination of privacy in the human realm it's just crazy talk. You're never alone. Right here, I'm sitting in the room talking to you guys over the microphone, and I know that there are spiritual entities and ancestors and archangels, maybe not the archangels directly, but definitely my own guardian angel, right? And the presence of God is all around me. I don't expect God himself to be here all the time. He's a busy guy. He's got enough shit to think about without worrying about me. And that's how I do my service unto God. I make it so that God doesn't have to fucking worry about me all the time. And he doesn't have to constantly answer my requests, right? Because chances are he's not going to anyway. So I do my own good magic, and I commiserate with angelic forces and spirits within my realm of influence, right? Within my kin. And sometimes it's being in the presence of God, but I've only had to do that a few times. And thankfully, because that's a big, powerful force. And most people who stand in God's presence and see the face of God do not come back to tell about it, because it usually kills the human shell. The mortal coil is usually cast off when that happens. But some of us survive it and come back to tell the tale. Yeah, and you're right about this. This is truthful spiritual knowledge, Sophia, that our souls were already in existence prior to the creation of this realm and prior to coming here. That's a fact. We lived in the timeless homeland, and we go in and out of the fog of forgetfulness in order to refine things within our spirit and to have human experience and to get involved and play the game. Once again, must we go round again? Yes, if you choose to. And it does seem to be a spiritual truth that we sit in heaven and we choose to come back and get involved for various reasons and to live out like life missions. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We're all just walking each other home. It says it was popularized by Ram Dass. Love that. So true. Even the people who are not so pleasant teach us a way to go home, if we so choose. Yeah, it's good magic. So you guys know it. Yeah, so Mushroom Coyote points out here that it was this fella, not familiar with that person, but maybe I'll look him up later. One Ram Dass. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And like I said, he popularized it, but I don't think he was the first person to say it. I don't think he was the first person to realize it. I've talked about some of my spiritual experiences when my parents passed, and those are real things, guys, realer than real. They're realer than this realm is, right? They're so tangible and visceral. And I'd like to talk about them again, and I will at some point. But each time I go through the telling of the tale, it sometimes it takes me to, where I start longing and feel a little bit of selfishness, like, why can't I go home right now too? And they're like, well, you could just jump out the window, right? But no, that's not going to happen. And that's why those spiritual experiences you save for those quintessential mystic moments when it's important to tell them. And I've noticed that certain times lots of young people, like when I'm in a group of young people and people are really, really like brainwashed into the super scientific materialistic view of there being nothing but, you know, what they call meat suits and shit, and they think they're all just a bunch of descendants of monkeys. That's when I spread one of my spiritual tales, and it has a great affect, right? Like it truly touches the hearts of young people and they wake up for a second. And in fact, at those times, something paranormal almost always occurs, right? Like I could tell you a bunch of different stories like that have happened. And that's the proper time to do it. That's what spiritual teachers do. They wait until the young minds are gathered and they're very insistent on their ideas. And then they reveal the unseen, right? They reveal a spiritual truth. And then there will be a thunderclap from the paranormal sphere, right? God will approve and he'll clap his hands and something dynamite will happen. It's happened every time I've been in a situation like that. Although I haven't had that, maybe a dozen opportunities to share spiritual power that way. And every time there's been a response. So that's interesting. And it's interesting too, like sometimes when the time is not appropriate, spiritual forces will stop me from being able to speak. Like my throat will get all choked up with like gook, and I'll like bite my tongue or something. Or I'll mispronounce words and stuff will start going wrong. And I'll realize that the spirits are warning me to keep my mouth shut, that it's not the right time and there may be demonic forces present. So yeah, that's good magic. Good magic, man. You have to be sensitive to the subtle indications of the unseen sphere and know what they're telling you, what to do and when to do it. Right? And it's not like they're dictating to you everything that you should and should not do, but they will definitely step forward when you're in a moment of darkness, when there's danger at hand, and prevent you from speaking. And then they'll let you proceed forward, right? And you'll, if you've experienced this before, you'll realize that there is a moment of high strangeness and time dilation occurs. And so many more things are transpiring than you can actually cogate at the time. But then when you reflect back on it later, like, wow, so much opens up. And if you know astral projection at all, then you can put yourself back in that moment and see like hundreds of thousands of things that you missed when you went through it, because maybe the actual real time only took, 2, 3, 4 minutes or even 30 seconds for something to be revealed. But then when you look back at it and astrally project into it, you'll find that there's an endless and like an infinite amount of sensation and knowledge and wisdom in each moment that passed. And you can spend too much time dwelling in it if you're not careful. Because again, it is a timeless homeland and an infinite realm of immortality. And when we do our work and cast off the mortal coil, then we return to that state and we dwell in it once again with the heavenly kingdom and the celestials. Yeah, so it's a real thing. Yeah, I agree with you, Mushroom Kingdom, Mushroom Coyote, that reincarnation is an undeniable truth. In fact, I believe it was Ezekiel said that he was John the Baptist and that he had come before, right? And I think Jesus was a reincarnation of some earlier prophet. Might have been Solomon himself returning to the realm, right? So there are various individuals who have been aware of their reincarnated abilities. Or not abilities, but just the process of being reincarnated. Over and over and over. Must we go round again? And the answer is yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do need to go around. And sometimes it's clearing away of either personal karma or familial karmatic debt, or it's just you want to just get down to good magic, right? You want to do things and experience life again. In fact, a lot of people point out the hardship and suffering in life, but oftentimes that's like very, very little of your day-to-day experience, right? Like I can think about the 54 years I've been here, and like once in my childhood, I smashed my hand in the window, and cried like a baby and suffered. And then once I lit off a firecracker and like got entranced by the fuse burning and the firecracker blew up in my fingers right in front of my eyes. right? Like I was holding the firecracker and I lit the fuse and I became entranced. And I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. The fire and gunpowder. Then bam! I was looking at it full view as it blew my fingers apart. And it left like blood welts, blood blisters on my fingers and hand. And I thought I was really injured, you know. I was like, oh my God, I've hurt myself. And I ran in running into my mother, crying like a baby, you know, because I was a baby. I think I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old or something, playing with firecrackers. And so that kind of shit happens. But that's very, very little of human life experience, right? The suffering is actually a very, very small part, I believe. And then sometimes the letting go of loved ones, that's just selfishness, right? Once they've moved on and shed their beloved mortal coil, then they're doing other things, right? They're still with us. And to mourn too long is a very selfish thing, right? Because why are we mourning? We're mourning because we'd rather spend more time with them. And even if it meant that they should suffer more, right? Sometimes it's hard to let go. Mushroom Kai says, thank you. I missed that part of the conversation. So I'm going to skip that and keep reading and see if I can catch up. Mushroom Coyote, what a cool name. Yeah, that is kind of a cool name, huh? Had a husky for 16 years. I called her Fancy. She started out with blue eyes, then they turned gold like a wolf. A wolf. That's how my girlfriend used to say wolf. She couldn't pronounce her L's. So old, she was from Indiana. So old became ode and wolf became woof. And it used to drive me nuts. She's like, that dog kind of looks like a wolf. And I'm like, what did you just say? A what? A wolf. I'm like, what the fuck is a wolf? I said, do you mean wolf? And she said, yeah, that's what I said, a wolf. I was like, oh my God, you're going to drive me out of my mind, lady. I loved her, though. She was a great gal. That was a college girlfriend. How old is you? She was born and raised in Indiana, but I met her in Tennessee, and she didn't know how to talk right. How old is it? Anyway, I'm not going to make fun of country folk. I love their accent. It took about 10 years of me interacting with the Tennesseans, but I learned to love their accent, and a lot of them had a lot of genuine kindness in their heart. And there's a lot of good people in the rural South, right? Some of the best people in the world, man, I met in Alabama, Louisiana, Bama, Roll Tide, Louisiana, Tennessee, right? It's not Tennessee, it's Tennessee, all right? Indiana, Illinois. Yeah, so some of those Tennesseans, they's great, they's good people. You headed on up across the border to Tennessee? Yep, I'm going to do it. Get at it, biggin. All right. Well, you know good. What do you say there, biggin? That would be awesome. Please do. And wow. Yeah, I'm totally somehow not keeping up with the conversation, guys. And it looks like there's a whole fucking conversation I missed. Do you like my Southern accent? Do you think it's pretty spot on? Right? Well, how far is it? How far is it now? Well, it's just on up yonder. It's a holler or two. Is that right? Well, I guess I better get at it then. Yeah, I can't think of anything to say. Let's say, what would they say? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's been a while. I haven't been back to Tennessee. I was in Tennessee, let's see, in 2023. So just 2 years ago. And Southern accent is very tied to those from Ireland. I kid you not. Yeah, I've realized that. See, my mother's mother, her whole family, all those people were Appalachian Irish. And so they're still there. Like they still sing Irish folk songs and play the fiddle and like spoons and have Irish marriages and shit. There's like an entire community of Appalachian Irish that still live in the Tennessee Hills up around like the Smoky Mountains and Rocky Top, right? Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on Rocky Top. Ain't no telephone bills, right? Yeah, good people, man. So that's the whole from my mother's side of the family. My father's side of the family were all German Jews. They were Jews living in New York from Germany. But yeah, so I'm a German-Irish Jew. German Jews on my dad's side and Appalachian Irish on my mother's side. My mother's side. I think I've got a better Irish accent than I do Southern Tennessean accent. So from singing all the Irish tunes over the years, I've developed a bit of a loving for the brogue of the Irish people. And even though we're Irish descendants, the Irish themselves wouldn't have anything to do with us these days, right? They call us backwards white trash living in the old Tennessee hills, but we still carry the love of Ireland in our heart, right? And we still sing about the foggy dew. 'Twas down the glen one Easter tide to a city fair rode I. Their armored lines of marching men in squadrons passed me by. No fife did hum nor battle drum did sound its dread tattoo. But the Angelus bells of the Liffey swell rang out through the foggy dew. Right proudly high over Dublin town flung they out the flag of war. Said 'twas better to die 'neath an Irish sky than at Suvla or Sudelbar. And from the plains of Royal Mead strong men came hurrying true, while Britannia's Huns with their long-range guns sailed in through the foggy dew. 'Twas England's bade our wild geese go, that small nations might be free, and their lonely graves are by Suvla's waves on the fringe of the great North Sea. Oh, had they died by Pierce's side, or fought with noble Cattlebrew, their names we'd keep where the Fenians sleep, 'neath the shroud of the foggy dew. And to and fro in my dreams I go, and I'd kneel and pray for you, for those who died that Easter tide in the springtime of the year. And the world did gaze with deep amaze at those fearless men, but few, who bore the fight so that freedom's light might shine through the foggy dew. I think I got it right. I might have fucked it up. I was all over the place. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, the Southern Irish, the Cherokee, I bid y'all a farewell. Fare thee well, my love, fare thee well, for I'm going to California. Yeah, good to you. Get some sleep. Love you. Much love to you, Sophie. Love you, and love to everyone. Everyone out in the happy land. We won't go too much longer here, as we've done quite a bit already. It's already 3.5 hours, for Christ's sake. Right? We've gone long in the tooth this evening. Yeah, as you don't want a white runs through me blood. That's right. Yeah, good magic, everyone. Good looking out. I appreciate y'all coming by to say hi. I certainly do appreciate it. All right. If only for Tim Finnegan, we could go live once again like Finnegan. If you've got a yen to expand your kin, then go Tim Finnegan with me once again with Finnegan's Wake. All right. What a lovely thing. It is a lovely thing to end the show with a bit of the Irish brogue and a bit of the Irish whiskey, but I'm not drinking any whiskey today. All I've got is the bloody black magic of the old dark Colombian Supremo. Wish I had a bit of whiskey. Whiskey on a Sunday, right? Tomorrow's Sunday. Maybe I'll buy myself a bottle of whiskey for Sunday. Yes, sleep well, Daisy, beloved Daisy. I hope you're headed to where streams of whiskey are flowing, because last night as I slept, I dreamed I met with BM. I took him by the hand and we passed the time of day. When questioned on his views on the crux of life's philosophy, he had but these few clear and simple words to say: I am going, any which way the wind may be blowing. I am going, where streams of whiskey are flowing. I have cursed, bled, and sworn, jumped bail, and landed up in jail. Though life has often tried to stretch me, the rope always went slack. And now that I have a pile, I'll go into the Chelsea. I'll walk in on my feet, but I'll leave there on my back, because I'm going. I am going, any which way the wind may be blowing. I am going, where streams of whiskey are flowing. 'Tis a thing, yeah, to head off into Dreamland and enjoy the astral plane. Yeah, I'll see you there, Sophia, in the near future. So keep doing good magic, and I'll keep working on the workbook for the spiritual development of all people. And I'm going to include a section by Rudolf Steiner that the dead are among us, and we need to pay homage to the dead. And one great way we can pay homage to the dead is to sing their old songs, the old Irish folk songs of the Irish people. Quite a lovely thing, well worth an endeavor to learn a few and sing along with old Frank Monday here on FM radio, broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking. And we've got a new Wayfarer in the chitter chatter box. Make sure you keep it squeaky clean in the chitter chatter box, lollipop B1. And one way you can keep it clean is with wishy-washy dish soap. Wishy-washy dish soap. What a wonderful thing. Makes for a sudsy, clean delivery and keeps all your balls squeaky clean. Comes with a complimentary wishy-washy dishcloth. So make sure you pick up the 5-pound box of wishy-washy at Thompson's 5 and Dime. You can find a 20% discount coupon in your Sunday paper. 20% discount coupon on the $4.99 box, 5-pound box of wishy-washy dish soap. Pick up a box today. Yeah, Mushroom Coyote, Sophie Daisy May, sleep well, Daisy. May your dreams be filled with reminiscence and nostalgia of times long gone and times yet to come. Right across the ocean, of course, but I think it used to be connected at one time. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful statement. I believe that probably the ancient continent of Mu was just that all the continents were much closer to each other, like all the young children growing up in a family, right? They've all kind of moved apart and started to do their own thing, but they got to remember that they're all part of one bigger global family, Gaia, as they call it, the dear old Mother Earth, right? And the Father God of the heavenly realm. Lollipop B, do you need a mod god? I ban the rejects for you. Yeah, I don't think there are any rejects here, Lollipop B, but thank you. Yeah, if anybody shows up in the ideas room that's causing trouble and we need to get them banned, then I'll definitely start handing out wrenches. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I know that on the StreamYard, I don't think I can directly mod you on the StreamYard. No, my only options for you on StreamYard are delete your comment, put you in a timeout, or ban and delete user and their comments. It doesn't show that I have the option to make mods. But I can do that from the YouTube webpage, which I can't directly access right this moment. But you know what I can do? I can offer once again for anybody out there in Happy Land that'd like to jump on panel with me and have a bit of the back and forth, a bit of the old in out, right? As it were, like they said in Clockwork Orange. A bit of the viddies of the ultra violence to get you motivated for the in out. I am going to play a song by Dweller of the Dark, so I can take myself an official smoke break, and I just gotta make sure I can find it. Jesus, where is it? Is this it? No, I think that's the wrong video. Sorry guys, let me grab the right video.
It says, hey nigger.
Depends on how you said it. Like you say, what's up, nigga? Then that's cool. But if you just say, nigger, then I'm gonna take it different. I might be over there, you be pulling me off of it, you know?
Now, if a white person walks up to Eazy-E and says, hey nigger.
Depends on how you said it. Like you say, what's up, nigga? Then that's cool. But if you just say, nigger, then I'm gonna take it different. I might be over there, you be pulling me off of it, you know?
Person walks up to
So funny. I grew up with this nigger in the hood. Eazy-E, he's a good man, right? And notice how like the question from the journalist is loaded with racial innuendo in order to try to tease Eazy-E out, right? It's almost a kind of lampooning in a way, right? It's the CIA at work once again. You know, the CIA, it's alleged that they murdered Eazy-E, and there's a good chance that's true because Eazy-E was changing, and he was a powerful voice in the black community, and he was pretty much at the end of the run of gangster rap, right? He knew that it was promoting the wrong style, the wrong lifestyle among young people, and I think he was ready to bring forward like an even more powerful message, and a lot of people would have looked up to him and broken away from that gangster mentality, and there would have been real productive change in the black community, and the CIA wasn't going to allow that, right? They were going to promote him as long as he was getting people to smoke crack and go out and shoot each other. But as soon as he started bringing forth spiritual truths and revelations, which I'm sure he had, and started raising his family and stuff, I think he was going to marry that gal. I don't think he actually married her. I think they kind of tricked him on his deathbed. But yeah, what a thing, man. That's a part of my childhood, a part of my story as well. Because I shook Eazy's hand. I met him at the Quampton swap meet, and he called me up on stage because I was the only white kid I think that ever showed up in Compton at the swap meet when they were rapping. And he saw this blonde haired, blue eyed little kid. I think I was like 11 years old or something. And he's like, what's that white kid doing here? You know, I was like a little dash of pudding in a sea of dark night. And yeah, so he took an interest in me directly. So that kind of touched my heart, man, that happened in my life, in my childhood. Here we go, Dennis.
Eagles flying high, cats on the prowl, devils in your bed, their whispers so loud, witches on my heels, so they'll steal, running in the dark, truth they conceal, blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think. Hounds howl at night, shadows in the light, fear in every breath, eyes wide with fright. Cards dealt by fate, no way to escape. Threads getting tight, can't see the daylight. Blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think. Cards dealt by fate, no way to escape. Threads getting tight, can't see the daylight. Blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think.
That was Dweller of the Dark on FM radio with Frank Monday. Make sure you guys get over there and check him out. Sub his channel. He's a young creator. He's doing good magic. I think he does a lot of audio books that he reads himself, like an amount of material that I would never even be able to fathom. He creates music, and he's just a fun guy to interact with here on the community. So I promote his channel whenever I get an opportunity. As you guys know, there's a lot of great channels that I love here on YouTube. I love Chats with Jack. I just got a full disclosure. I got to be honest with you. I got nothing but love for Jack Talcott. I appreciate that he had the opportunity to come by and chat with us today. That was really a wonderful thing. It's kind of the whole reason that the show took place today. Otherwise, I was probably just going to chill and study and read. You know, I'm rereading the complete book of magic of the Golden Dawn by Israel Regardie. So I've got that. I've got a lot of other tangible books on my altar that I've been working with. And I was inspired, in fact, by TML to start really studying stuff deeply again and kind of pulling my head out of the YouTube space and just mostly spend most of my time, you know, pursuing my career, family, and my magical practice. But with that said, I love fellowshipping with all you guys here on YouTube too. The people, especially people that are interested in pursuing the more virtuous aspects of human living right here in this realm. I know it can be hard and tough, but we've got to support each other, and we're all walking each other home, you know. And one of those places again that I learned about this and reinvigorated my own interest in studying again was TML. If you guys don't know him, here's the blurb I made for his channel.
The lies of the machine on the machine that lies. Basically, you know, on the stream, The Machine Lies, we're taking a very critical look at technology. So the reason we're doing that is because we're looking at the medium that is used to communicate, right, and transmit information, right? We don't think that any form of mediation.
Oops, sorry guys, FM radio faux pas right there, guys. That didn't load correctly, so I'm going to restart this video. This is TML, The Machine Lies, and you can find his channel. I believe it's TML 9534. Yeah, there it is there. The Machine Lies 9534. Check him out, Kong, over at Cyber Caliphate. And
so we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. Basically, you know, on the stream, The Machine Lies, we're taking a very critical look at technology. So the reason we're doing that is because we're looking at the medium that is used to communicate, right, and transmit information, right? We don't think that any form of mediation is neutral, right, but it's laden with values. And so I think that the well has been polluted by technology. So obviously we take a critical look at technology, right? Okay, we're looking at different concepts in relation to technology, right? In terms of philosophy, right? And in terms of religion. Now, that is one of the main purposes of the show, is that we really look at where technology and religion, science, and spirituality, where those things intersect, right? Because there's a crisis of the modern world in which there's a majority of the modern world is religious people. Their mindset is secular, and the means they employ are secular. We're living in a post-liberal, post-human, post-geological age, right? So we're talking about the death of liberalism, the rise of the world technological system. Now, we do think that, okay, there's a considerable level of, you know, externalization of the ego, okay, and mediation of ourselves through the means we employ. So obviously, you know, we shape tools, but the tools we use shape us, right? So that's one of the main things we're trying to get across on the show, is how technology changes human psychology. If you question the means you employ and what the objective factors of power are in our age, right, then that's the most important question you can ask. Right, that's the most critical stance you could actually take, right? Like, most people don't question, you know, how or what means they use to question, to ask the question itself, right? So we're actually taking a critical look at technology, right, as a primary form of communication, as an objective factor of power in our age, right? And we think that basically we're assuming that a lot of the stuff that we see through this medium is totally made up, right, fabricated, and that is based on the fact that it is artifice. It's produced by a machine, right? So we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies.
Yeah, I love that last little part. Like he articulates that so well, right? We talk about the machine, the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. It's so good. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out TML, definitely get over there and get it done. Yeah, to finish off today's video, guys, I'll just drop the old idea. Oh, I'm not even on the screen anymore. Yeah, I was just going to say I just dropped the old reminder that hit the, let's see, here's the banners at the top. Hit the like buttons for YouTube's algobots, right? Keep them barking like Pavlov's dog, because aren't we all just barking for the machine, right? Or barking at the machine if you're a good dog. And I know that y'all good-looking, sexy people are good people and doing good. So I will remind you, check me out on buymeacoffee.com. I'm going to go over there and try to update that page today and tomorrow and put some documents on it and just say hello, maybe write a journal entry and say thank you to everyone that has contributed over there, because I know I've missed a few people have made donations on the coffee page, and I haven't said thank you yet. So it's because I've been so busy with work, and I will get over there and get that done today. So blessings to everyone out in Happy Land. Keep doing good magic, and I'll sign off with the invocation of total integration, which was brought forward by Master Nihua Ching of the Universal Society of the Integral Way in Yosan University. I worked as his assistant for a couple of years there at his retreat in Oregon, outside of Medford, Oregon. So if you know anything about Master Ni, you know a little something about Taoism. Here it goes here. Heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of the subtle, wondrous universal law. As the original oneness expresses itself, gross and subtle energies become distinctly divided. Our bodily cave is brightly illuminated by the mysterious light from the three sources, our three Dantian, bridge points and elixir fields leading to immortality. The powerful spirits of the 8 directions can join our being with the true origin of life. By the absolute order of the divine Ling Bao in the highest 9th heaven, send the positive energy of Chen Luo, Dan Na, Dunkan, and Taishuan to destroy our spiritual obstacles and debilitate any evil influence. This order is given by the highest sovereignty. It is a jade oracle from the subtle origin. I invoke with strong sincerity to drive away the demons and evils and lengthen my healthy years. The evil demon king Mo Wang is chained to stand as our guard and servant. The powerful atmosphere has been generated, dispersing all negativity, and the chi of Tao is everlasting. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Amen. And with no further ado, that's going to do it for today. Once again, thank you for stopping by, everyone. Shout out Mushroom Coyote, Lollipop B, Jack Talcott, Sophia, Daisy May, and anyone else, anyone and everyone who was in the ideas room or in the chitter chatter box. If I did not catch you, Trexty was here at the beginning as well. Much love and much blessings to all of you guys. Keep doing good magic, and I'll see you in the abodes of the future. Until then, carpe diem, ad astra per aspera. Bye for now.